Hi friends, this is Bakappa. Welcome back to Testers Talk channel. So far you have seen how to set up the environment for REST assured API testing and how to create the GET API request using REST assured, and then how to create post API request using REST assured. So while creating the post API request, we have used the JSON object and we have used a file concept also, and also we have used the POJOS to create the post API request in the REST assured API testing. And also we have created the put API request, patch API request, delete API request. And then we have discussed how to create the API chaining, how to pass the parameters into the API request, and also I have discussed how to validate the JSON schema. And finally, we have discussed how to create the multiple TestNG suite files and how to execute it from the command prompt. In this chapter 6 of REST assured API testing tutorial, I will discuss how to configure log4j for creating logs in the REST assured API testing, and then how to generate the log4j file in the REST assured API testing. Then I will discuss how to print the stack trace information into the log file, so when there is a failure in the test. Then finally I will discuss how to write the any API request details and any API response details into the log4j log file in the REST assured API testing. Let's start discussing about how to configure and how to generate the log4j file. So what you need to do is just you need to follow the 3 steps. By following 3 steps, you should be able to generate the log4j log file. So you can go to the google.com and here you can search for Bakappa in GitHub. And you can go to the my GitHub repository here. And in the repositories section, you can search for the log4j logging framework. If you're not able to see this particular repository in the top, you can search for just log4j. So you will get the log4j logging framework repository. You open that particular repository, and in the readme.md file, I have mentioned all the steps. The first step is we need to add the one maven dependency, that is log4j slf4j impl maven dependency. We have to add to the maven project, and after that we need to create the log4j 2.properties file under the resources folder, and we have to specify all these properties inside the log4j 2.properties file. And after specifying all the properties, we can start creating the logs by using the logger reference variable. So if you look at here, so here we are using the log manager class, and inside that we are calling to the get logger method, and after that we are specifying the current class name and followed by the dot class, so that we can create the logs with respect to that particular class. And by using this logger, and we can log all the details. So we can add the debug details, or we can add the normal simple information into the log file, and also we can add warnings, fatal errors, fatal details, and error information also we can write into the log4j log file. So let's start adding the maven dependency first, and after that we'll create the log4j 2.properties file, and we'll start creating the logs by using the logger reference variable. So here I will go to the google.com and we will add the maven dependency. So here I'll say log4j slf4j impl maven dependency. So here I will go to the maven repository official website, and here I will use the latest version, that is 2.20.0. So let's copy this maven dependency, and I will go to the pom.xml file. So inside the dependencies tag, so I will add my maven dependency, and after that simply save the pom.xml file. And after adding the maven dependency, we need to create the log4j file, that is inside the src test resources. So I will right click on this folder and I will say here file. So here I'm specifying the file name as log4j 2.properties. That's it. So here we got the log4j 2.properties file. So let's copy the content from the GitHub repository. So I'll copy all these properties and I'll paste it here. So let me copy it once again. So that's it. So if you look at here in the line number 19, so here we are specifying the location where we want to create the our log4j log file. So here I have specified the dot followed by the logs folder. So automatically it will create the logs folder inside the our project, and inside the logs folder it will create the app logs.txt. So this path you can specify wherever you want to generate the log4j log file. So that's it. So second step is done. So let's move on to the third step. So we need to start creating the logger reference variable. By using that we can start creating the logs. So here I will go to the end-to-end API test.java class and I will maximize this one. And inside this E2E API request test. So before using the logger, so we need to create the logger reference variable here. So here I'll say private static final and followed by I'll say logger dot logger reference variable, and here I'll say log manager dot get logger. So inside this we have to specify the current class dot class. So simply I will copy the current class name and I'll paste it here and I'll say dot class, so that we can create the logs with respect to this particular class. So after that simply you can import the logger from the org.apache.logging.log4j. So that's it. After importing, so we can directly use the logger reference variable. By using this one we can write the logs into the log file. So here I will use this logger, and inside this @test method I will add the one log by using the logger dot. Here I'll say info, and inside the info we have to specify the log name inside the string. So here I'll say this particular test name, followed by that I'll say test execution started. That's it. So simply I will copy the same line. At the end of the test I will go and I will specify it as the test ended. So here I'll say instead of started I'll say ended. That's it. So we are done with all three steps. We have added the maven dependency, and second step is we have created the log4j 2.properties file, and third step is we have created the logger reference variable. By using that we have created the two logs. So these two logs, this one and there is another one at the end of the test, these two logs has to be written into the log file, right? So now what I will do is simply I will go to the, so let's go to the same class. It looks like there is an error, so let's fix that error. So simply I'll specify the semicolon here. That's it, guys. So now what I will do, inside the suits folder we have the rest assured API test.xml file. So this is a TestNG suite file. So let's execute this suite file. So right now we are not able to see the logs folder inside here in our project. So after executing our suite file, so it will generate the logs folder, and inside that it will create the app logs.txt file. So inside this text file we should be able to see the two logs what we have written in the API test. So let's execute this suite file. So let's open the console output, and if you look at here, so with the timestamp it is adding the logs in the console output also. So this particular log what we have created in the beginning of the test, and it is executing the all the API test inside that particular test method, and at the end with the timestamp it is printing the last log what we have created. And if you look at here, so our test is passing, right? So after that, so now you need to refresh this particular project, and you should be able to see the logs folder. So if you look at here, so there is a logs folder, and inside that we have the app logs.txt file. Let's open that text file, and if you look at here, this text file, so we are able to see the timestamp and followed by the class name and followed by the log name. So this is how you can configure and generate the log4j log file. So if you go to the console output, so for example, if I want to go to this particular line where I have created this particular log, so simply you can click on this particular class name and it will take you to the class where this particular log is created also. So if you click on that, so this is where we have created the log. So this is how we can configure and generate the simple log4j log file. So far you have seen how to configure the log4j and how to generate the log4j log file. Now I will discuss how to print the stack trace information into the log file. For example, whenever there is a failure in the test, so we need to write the stack trace information into the log file so that we can debug the test faster. So here I will fail this particular API test intentionally by passing the incorrect status code, and I will execute this API test, and you should be able to see the error information about the failure, that is nothing but the stack trace information about the failure. So if you look at this failure, and it is printing us the all the information about the validation failure, right? And it is printing us the expected status code is 100 and we are getting the 200, and also it is printing all the class details, right? So right now, so it is just printing the logs. It is not printing the all this stack trace information into the our log file. So let's discuss how to implement the logic for printing the stack trace information into the log file. So we can achieve by using the two ways. First one is we can use the TestNG listener, and second one is we can use the @after method. So by using these two concepts, we can write the logs into the log4j log file. So let's discuss how to implement by using the @after method. So here I will go inside the base test class, and here I will maximize this class, and similarly I will add the @after method. So here we have added the @before method, and here I will create the one simple method, that's public void, and I'll specify the method name as I'll specify the method name as after method, and I will surround this method with the @after method. So that's it. You can import @after method from the TestNG framework. And so to get the any test results, it can be about the test pass or fail, or even it can be the any stack trace information when there is a failure in the test. To get that information, so we need to pass the one argument here so that it will accept that information when there is a test got executed, right? So here I'm specifying the iTest result as the reference variable. So by using this we can get the stack trace information, and once we are having the stack trace information, we can directly write into the log4j log file, right? So let me maximize a little bit, and after that, so this particular reference variable will hold the all the test information, right? So here I'll take this particular reference variable, that is a result, and I will use the if condition. So inside this I will use the result dot get status. Firstly I will check the whether our test is getting failed or not. So once I'm having the failed status for the test, simply I will get the stack trace information and I will convert that into the sorry guys, and then we will convert that into the string, and simply we can write that string into the log4j file. So here we got the status, and we have to compare with the failure by using this iTest result. So there is a enum available called failure. So firstly we are checking whether our test is getting passed or failed, and if in case our test failed, then only I will have the stack trace information of the test, right? So that's the reason here this particular condition is true, then only it will come inside this one. And by using this result reference variable, I am calling to the one method called get throwable. So this is returning as the throwable type of data. So simply I will save that into the throwable type. So here I'll say throwable, I'll say T. That's it. So now we are having the throwable. By using this particular reference variable throwable type, I can get the stack trace information. So before that, we have to convert stack trace information into the string, right? So that's the reason here I'm creating the object of the string writer. Here I'll say writer and I'll specify the new. Followed by that, here I'm creating the object of the string writer. Then we can simply import this string writer. So reason for creating this particular object is we can convert our stack trace information into the string. So after creating the object of the string writer, I will use the reference variable of the throwable. By using that, I will call to the print stack trace information. So if you look at here, the third method, so we have the print writer. So I will create the object of the print writer, and inside this I will pass the string writer object. So simply I will say here new. Here I'll say the print writer. So that's it. For this particular object, print writer object, I will pass the string writer object. So that's it. So let's try to add some meaningful name. So I'll say this one as an error. So this particular string writer, finally it contains the stack trace information. So let's directly add that into the print writer object. And simply I will import this particular print writer from the java.io. And after importing it, so simply I will use this error dot to string. Then we will get the stack trace information into the string. That's it, right? So to write any logs into the log4j log file, so we have to create the logger reference variable. So here I'll say private static and followed by that final, and I will say the logger followed by that reference variable we are specifying it. Here I'll use the log manager dot get logger. So inside this I will specify the current class dot class. So that's it. So we are having the, so simply we can import it from the apache.logging.log4j. So now we are having the logger reference variable. So by using this we can directly write the logs into the log file. So I will use this particular logger reference variable. So by using this one I will say info. So inside this we have to pass the string, right? So this particular string writer object contains the stack trace information. Simply I will say error dot to string. So that's it. So let's try to delete everything from the our log file. So before we go ahead and execute our API test, so I will open the applogs.txt file. So simply I will delete all the stuff from the log file. So that's it. Let's go to our test API test and let's execute this API test. And this time we should be able to see the stack trace information into the log4j log file. So if you look at the console output, our test is getting failed, and if you look at the reason, so there is a mismatch in the status code. So this is the expected failure. So now let's refresh this maven project and let's open the applogs.txt file log file, and if you look at here, so all the information is printing over here, right? So if you look at this one, so there is an assertion failure, and also it is printing the all the details which we have seen in the console output, right? So this is how you can implement the logic for writing the stack trace information into the log4j log file. So far you have seen how to configure log4j and how to generate the log4j file, and also we have seen how to write the stack trace information into the log file whenever there is a test failure. Now we will see how to write the any API request details and response details into the log4j log file. So here I'm opening the end-to-end API test.java class, and here let's fail this API. So here what I will do is here I will go to the one of the API in the down, and in the get API call. So here I'll pass the invalid booking ID. So here I'll pass some incorrect booking ID so that this get API call will fail and we will get the 404 status code. So automatically our test will get failed, and let's execute this API test and we'll check the log file, and then later we'll see how to implement the logic to write the API request details and API response details into the log4j log file. And let's check out this result. And if you look at here, the reason for failure is, so there is a mismatch in the status code. We are expecting 200 but we are getting the 404 status code. This is the expected failure. So now I will open our log file. So if you look at here, so all the details are printing here, but we are not able to see the API request details and the API response details in the log file. So let's see how to implement the logic so that we can automatically write the API request details and the API response details into the log4j log file. So first let's create the one package under src test java, and here I'm specifying the package name as com.testautomation.api testing dot here also listener. So that's it. So inside the same package I will add the class called rest assured listener. So that's it. I will click on finish. So we got the class here. So here we are implementing the one of the interface called filter. So simply I will add the, after the class name I will add the implements keyword. So this keyword used for implementing any interfaces. So here I have added the filter. So that's it. So you can do mouse over on the filter and you can import it from the io.restassure.filter, and after importing the filter you need to add the unimplemented methods. So after mouse over on the rest assured listener, so you will get this particular option, add unimplemented methods. Simply click on that link and here you will get this particular method added automatically. So that's it guys. So now let's write the simple code here, just 2 lines of code, so that will print the API request details and the API response details. So simply I will use the filter context reference variable, and by using that here I'm calling to the method called next. So inside this we have to specify the filterable request specification and the filterable response specification, right? So already these reference variables are present in this particular method only. So simply copy this request spec reference variable and pass on to the next method, and similarly let's copy the response spec and paste it here. That's it. So if you look at this next method, so this is returning as the response type of data. So I will assign back to the response type of data. That's it. So we have the response. So by using this request spec we can get the any API request details. By using this response variable we can get the any API response details. So once we have these two variables we can get all the API request details and the response details. So before we go ahead and use this particular class in the API test, let's implement the logger for this particular class. So here I'll say private static final, and followed by that I'll say logger, and here I'll use the log manager dot get logger. So inside this I will specify the current class name, that is a rest assured listener dot class. So that's it. So first let's see how to implement the logic. Whenever there is a test failure, then only we will log the API request details and the response details. So this is the first case we will see. Then in the second case, irrespective of the test failure or a pass, we will log the API request details and the API response details. So let's import the logger. So that's it. So by using this logger object, we can write the logs. So let's see. Let's assume. So here I'm writing just if condition. So in this if condition, I will specify. So here I'll take this response variable, and by using this response variable, here I will call to the method called get status code. So if status code is not equal to 200, then only we will write the API request details and the response details into the log file. Otherwise, we are not writing anything into the log file. So similarly, I will add the another status code comparison, that is 201. So in this case, you can specify all your valid API response status codes. So if that particular code is not matching, for example, if I'm getting 400, 401, 404, so in that case, so this condition will be matching, and it will come inside this if condition, and it will write all the logs into the log4j file. So right now we have the condition ready. So let's use the logger. By using the logger object, here I'm calling to the method called error. Because we are calling to the method called error, so we are writing the logs whenever there is a failure only, right? So that's the reason here I'm calling to the error method. So inside this, we can specify all the details. It can be which type of method, and what is the URI, and what is the request body, and what is the response we got it from the application server. So now here what I will do is simply we have to specify the strings here inside the error method of the logger. So let's print the first. So here I'm writing first \n and followed by the method. So let's add the method, that is nothing but the which HTTP method we are going to call it. So we can get the HTTP method by using the request spec reference variable. We can call to the method called get method. So this returns us the method name. So that's it. Simply I will add the plus. And similarly, let's add the another data, that is the URI. So here I'll say URI and followed by that. So let's add a little bit different so that we can easily identify in the logs. So here I'll say equal to and greater than symbol after the method and the URI. And here let's call to the get URI. So this will return us the URI of the API request. And once we are having the method name URI, so let's add the request body also into the log file. So here I'll say request body and here I'll call the get body. So that's it. So far we have added all the API request details. So we'll also add the response details also. So similarly, I will copy this whole line and I will call to the by using the response reference variable. I will call to the method called get body, and after get body, I will call to the method called pretty print. So it will print the actual data of the response. So here I'll add it as a response body. So that's it. So at the end of this method, filter method, we have to return the. So if you look at the return type of this particular method, it is a response type. So that's the reason here I'm returning the reference variable of the response in the line number 20. Simply I'll copy this response reference variable and I'll return the same response variable. That's it. Sorry guys. Let me delete this whole line. So this is all about the implementation. So whenever there is a test failure, and if we get the status code as a 400, 401, 404, in that case it will enter inside this if condition then it will print in the form of error all the details, that is method name, URI, request body, and the response body. So let's go back to our test, and we will simply add this particular class in the API test. So here I will go to our end-to-end API test, and so that's all about the implementation. Now we are using the rest assured listener Java class in the API request. So here you can come to the API details where you have called to the APIs. So first here we are making the post API call. So after the given, so simply here we can call to the dot filter. So inside the filter we have to specify the object of the class which we have just created. That's the rest assured listener class. So that's it. Simply copy that. Simply we have to specify the object of the rest assured listener, and that's it. So let's specify it for the even get call. So for the post API call we have specified the dot filter, and inside that we have created the object of our rest assured listener class. So similarly we will do it for the get API call also. So here I'm saying after the given, so simply I will specify the dot filter, and inside this we will create the object of the rest assured listener. So that's it. So this is what the simple implementation what we have to do for writing the any API details into the log file. So let's open the log file. We'll make sure that our log file is clear, and let's execute our API test now. So if you want, you can include this particular filter into the other APIs also. We have the token API, put API, patch API, and delete API. So it will work fine. If there is any failure, automatically it will print all the API request details and the response details into the log file. So let's execute this API test, and now we should print all the API request details and the API response details. So because we have the test failure while validating the status code. So let's look into the console output. So if you look at here, so our test got failed with the expected status code mismatch, right? So we got the 404, but we are expecting the 200 as a status code. So let's refresh this maven project, and then we will open the log file. So if you look at this log file, so there's a failure, there is a mismatch in the status code. Expected is 200, but we are getting the 404. So this is the expected failure. And if you look at in the line number 3, so it is printing us the method, and this is a URI, it is trying to hit it. So here we have passed the invalid number so that it will return us the 404 status code. And because it is a get API call, we have not specified anything in the request body, and in the response we got the not found. So this is how you can print the API request details and the response details into the log4j log file. So let's see how to write the API request details and response details irrespective of the failure or the passing, right? So now I will go back to our rest assured listener Java class. So simply I will comment the line number 22 and the line number 29, right? So instead of printing error here, simply you can print it as the info, right? So this is a generic line, you can add it to print the logs into the log4j. So let's clear the log4j log file, and we should be able to see all the details. So if you look at in the API test, first we are making the post API call, which has the method and the URI and the API request body, and it will get the even response details also, right? And then while calling to the get API call by using the booking ID, so it will get failed. But before, you should be able to see in the log file all the details of the post API calls, and also in the log file you should be able to see the get API calls also. But as you have seen, so there is no request body, and there are many other details are missing there. But so you should be able to see all the details from the post API call in the log file. So let's execute this API test once again. Now we should be able to see the all the API details in the log file. So let's look into our test results. So there is a failure. This is the expected one. And let's check out the reason. So there is a mismatch in the status code. So this is the expected failure. So let's look at our log file now. So if you look at this log file, so first it is printing as the method that is a post, and this is the URI it is hitting, and this is the request body we are sending, and then this is the response body we are getting it from the application server. And if you look at the next details, so there is a failure, and also it is printing all the details here. So this is how you can implement the logic to print the API request details and the response details into the log4j log file in the rest assured API testing. This is Bakapa. Welcome to API testing full course. You can access all the exercise which we have done in the whole API testing course. I have already provided this link in the video description. So anyone can access this link, and also you can get the whole collections and also the environment variable details. So you can take that URL which is there in the description of this below video and paste it in the web browser. And after that, so once it is opened, so you need to export this collections into your local system. So it will open like this after accessing the link. So this is a public access URL which I have shared it. You can click on this booking API. You can see all the APIs are there inside the 2 folders. So what you can do is you can click on this 3 dots and you can export it. So you can click on this export, and firstly you can export this booking API collection, and after that on the right side you can select the booking API environment, and after that click on this icon and click on the edit. Then you can click on 3 dots and you can click on this export. So this will export the environment variable details. So after exporting it, so you will get these 2 files. And once you have these 2 files, you can go to the Postman and you can click on this import and make sure you are there in this file tab, and you can click on choose files and you can select the firstly collection, that's the Postman collection, and you can open it, and after that you can click on import. So firstly you can load the Postman collection, and after that you can load the environment details. So as I have already these APIs in my system, I don't want to import it, and this is how you can get the exercise which we have done in the API testing full course. You can find all the code which I have discussed in the rest assured API testing full course. You can search with the Bakapa and GitHub in the google.com, and here you can go to my GitHub repository, and over here in the repositories tab you will find the rest assured API testing framework. You can go inside this repository and you can click on this code and you can copy this URI, and by using this URI, and you can simply use the git in your local machine, and you can simply clone it by using the git clone and followed by that specify the URL. So you will get the whole code which I have discussed in the rest assured API testing full course. Hi friends, this is Bakapa. Welcome back to Testers Talk channel. In the previous rest assured API testing tutorial, I have discussed how to configure log4j and how to generate log4j log file in the rest assured API testing, and how to write the stack trace information into the log4j file. Then finally, I have discussed how to write the API request details into the log4j log file, and also we have seen how to write API response details into the log file. In this chapter 7 of rest assured API testing tutorial, I will discuss how to configure Allure report in rest assured API testing, and then how to generate Allure report in rest assured API testing. Now I will start discussing about how to generate the Allure report in the rest assured API testing. So before we go ahead and implement the logic, so let's look at high level what are the steps we have to do it. So let's see how to configure the Allure report in your system first, then we will see how to generate the Allure report in the rest assured API testing. You can go to the google.com and here you can search for Bakapa and GitHub, and you can go to the my GitHub repository here, and over the repositories section you can search for just Allure. So you will get the Selenium TestNG Allure report. You can go inside this repository, and here in the readme.md file you will find all the steps. The first step is we need to download the zip file, that's a Allure report zip file. We have to download it. So first you can go to this link, you can open it in the new tab, and here you can download any of the Allure report zip file, and in my case I'm using the 2.17.3 version, and you can go ahead and use the latest version, that is a 2.21.0. and after downloading the zip file you need to, so for example if I click on any of the link, so if I click on the 2.21.0, and here you will get the all the files, and you can come down and simply you can download this Allure command line 2.21.0.zip. so if you click on this one, it will start downloading the zip file for you. So after downloading the zip file of the Allure report, simply you need to unzip it. So you will get like this some zip file, and after unzipping it, simply you can go to the bin folder. So you need to copy this bin folder path, and you need to go to the your system variables. So inside the system environment variables you need to set the path. So after setting the path, you can go to the command line, simply type Allure space hyphen version. So after entering this command, you should be able to get the version of the Allure report. So once you have configured the Allure report in your system, so if you look at here, so you need to download the zip file, and you need to enter this particular command in the command prompt. Then we will get the version of the Allure report. Then once it is done, simply we have to add these two dependencies. First one is the Allure TestNG, second one is Allure rest assured. And once we have added these two maven dependency, we can create any API test, and we can just use the annotations from the Allure report, that is a Allure report rest assured. So we will get couple of annotations from this particular API, that is Allure rest assured API, and we need to use those annotations from the Allure report and then from the Allure API. And once we execute all our API test, and at the end we have to use the one command called Allure serve. So after entering this particular command, we will get the Allure report. Then there we can verify all our test details. So let's start adding these two maven dependency. Then we'll create the simple API test, and we will add the annotations. And after adding the annotations, then we will execute all the API test. So here I'm going to the google.com. So let's add the two maven dependency. First one is Allure TestNG maven dependency. So that's it. And here you can go to this maven repository official website. So in my case, I will use the 2.17.3 version, and you can go ahead and use this particular version, and make sure that you are downloading the 2.21.0 zip file, and also you are using this particular maven dependency. So in my case, I have installed the 2.17.3 version, so that's the reason I'm using the same API. So simply I'll copy this maven dependency and I will add into the my pom.xml file. So we have added the Allure TestNG. So let's add the another maven dependency called Allure rest assured. And you can go to the first link and let's go to the 2.17.3 version and simply I will copy this maven dependency and I will add it into the my pom.xml file. So that's it. After adding it, simply save it. So firstly, we have seen how to configure the Allure report in your local machine. Then you need to verify whether Allure report is configured properly or not in your machine by using the Allure space -- version. Then you should be able to see the version of the Allure report. And then second thing is you need to add the Allure TestNG and the Allure rest assured maven dependency to the your project. So after adding it, so let's create the Java class now. Simply I will copy the end-to-end API test Java class and I will paste it in the same package. Here I'll say paste and I'll specify the class name as Allure report generation. That's it. So let's open the Allure report generation Java class. So here we have to add the couple of annotations. So already so in the Agile project, so you might have heard in the daily basis you will hear all these terms. For example, epic, feature, story, and the story number, all these things. So we will use all those keywords or the terms in the from the Allure report API. So here at the top of the class, I will add the epic name. So here I'll use the @epic. So this epic comes from the Allure API. So inside the epic, I'll say epic1, epic-01 I'll say. And then let's import @epic from the Allure API. So if you look at here, so it is coming from the io.qa.meta.allure. Simply import this package in your class. That's it. So this is based on the kind of behavior driven development, right? So based on the behavior, all the features and the story things will be aligned, right? So first we have added the epic. Let's add the feature. So here I'm saying feature and we'll specify the feature name. So how we have added the epic name. So these details you can get it from the your Jira test management tool or any test management tool. So you can use the Jira or ADO, that is the Azure DevOps, where you will be finding all the epic name or the feature names. So here I'm adding the right now some random names. So here I'm specifying the feature name as, here I'll say booking. So instead of I'll say booking, I'll say create, update, delete, booking, I'll say. So that's it. So this end-to-end test will, it creates a booking, it will update the booking and it will delete the booking, and at every stage it will validate the all the resource details. So that's the reason here I have provided the feature name as create booking, update, and delete, and at last I have added the booking. So we have used two annotations from the Allure API. First one is epic, that's the epic name we have added, and second annotation is @feature, and here we have added the feature name. So these details you can get it from the any test management tool. And after that, so I will come back to the test now. So here I'm adding description for this test. So here I'll say description. So I'll specify the description for this test is end-to-end API test. So that's it. And before this one, and here I will add the one more annotation from the Allure. So before I add the description annotation from the Allure, we will add the story. So we have added the epic, we have added the future, and after the future there will be a story, right? So that's the reason here I'm adding the story, and inside that we can specify the story name. So simply I'll say story1. So these details you can get it from the test management tool. So right now I'm adding it like some random values. So simply import it from the Allure API. So we have added the story. So let's add the description. So this description you will be seeing it in the Allure report. So especially you can see this particular description also, and also you can see this description in the Allure report. So here I'll say end-to-end testing. That's it. So we will add one more last annotation that is called severity. So why we are adding the severity is because we will get to know how many blocker tests got failed and how many critical issues are there in the application, and also we'll understand how many minor tests got failed. So based on that we can decide whether we have to give the sign off from the testing team or not. So based on the severity level, so you will understand whether we have to give the sign off to the dev team for the further deployments. If we have a blocker issue or if we are having critical issues, so we should not provide the sign off from the our testing side, right? So that's the reason. So it is very important to define the severity level. So here I'm saying severity level dot. So if you look at here, so you can categorize your test into the all these names. So you can add this particular test into the blocker, critical, minor, normal, right? So all these values are present. So let's add our test into the critical. So here I have added the critical. That's it, guys. So we have used couple of annotations from the Allure report. First one is epic and future, then story, and at the rate description, and at the rate severity. So these are the important annotations, and these information if you are able to pass it, so you can check the report properly and you can take the appropriate decision on the your API test execution and the sign off part also. So now, so after adding all these annotations, so only one thing is pending, that is called, if you go to the any API call, sorry guys, so after the given, so you need to add one, you need to call to the one method called filter. So inside the filter, you need to you need to pass the one object called Allure REST assured. So wherever we have created the API call, just we have to pass this, but we have to call to this particular method after the given. So let's add dot filter, and inside this we will pass the new Allure REST assured object. So I'll copy this one. So this is the post API call. Let's go to the get API call. So let's add the dot filter, and followed by that we will pass the object of the Allure REST assured. So let's do it same for the token generation API, and let's do the same thing for the put API call, and again I will do it for the patch API call also. Then at the end we have the delete API call. So that's it, guys. So this is a very simple implementation what you need to do it in the your API test class. So after this, simply you can go to the location of the project, and I will open this project folder, and I will copy this location, and you can open the command prompt. So let's execute the test from the command prompt. So before we go ahead and execute the API test from the command prompt, so let's create the one TestNG suite file for this particular class, that is the Allure report generation class. We have to create the TestNG suite file for this particular class. So let's do that. Right click on that class and you can go to the TestNG, and here you can say convert to TestNG, and here you can click on this browse and you can select the folder as suits. Under the suits folder we will create the our suite file. So here I'll say rest assured, sorry, instead of rest assured I'll say Allure report API test.xml. That's it. And here you can specify the suite name. So here I'll specify the suite name as end-to-end API testing. That's it. I will click on finish button. And if you look at here under the suits folder, we have the one suit file, that is a Allure report API test.xml file. So if you look at this one in the line number 6, so this contains the class path of the fully qualified class path of the Allure report generation class, right? So we have the suit file is ready. So let's start executing it from the command prompt. So we have taken the location of the project. So simply you can do the cd command followed by the project location. Make sure that you are inside the project. So once you are inside the project location, so let's use the maven command. Here I'll say mvn followed by test and space. Here I'll say -d suit file name and equal to, in the double quotes simply we have to pass the location of this particular suit file. So here I'll say dot followed by suits and followed by we have the Allure report API test.xml. That's it. You can hit the enter. So if you look at here, so it is started executing the or end-to-end API test what we have created the same class. So it is started executing all the APIs and it is printed all the token ID and the booking ID also, and it is printing all the request and response details. And if you look at here, so our build is success and there are 0 failures, right? So we are able to execute the API test from the command line. So if you look at the last step here, so after executing all the API test from the command prompt, simply we have to use the Allure serve command, right? So let's execute the Allure serve. That's it. So it is generating the HTML file and also it is opened it. So if you look at this one, so right now we have only one test and that is got passed. So right now it is showing the green color, and if there are any failures here, it will show the combination of the pass and the based on the failed, it will show the green color and the red color also. So bit later we will add another test and which will get failed, and that time you will be able to see the green color and the red color. For the past it will be green color and for failed it will be red color. So if you click on this show all, it will display all the suit files. Right now we have the only one suit file, that is end-to-end API testing suit file. If we click on this show all, it will show the first suit file. So if we are having multiple TestNG suit files, it will display all the suit files here. And you can click on this one, and this is a test. Inside this one we have the package, and inside this package we have the one test. So if you look at here, so this is the test description name, right? So we have given the end-to-end API testing, and if you look at here, so this is the test description, right? So end-to-end API testing, so this is the description it is displayed here. And if you look at this description, so this is the Allure description, end-to-end testing. So if you look at our TestNG test class, so we have added the description, and this is the end-to-end testing, right? So same description is added over here in the description inside the test. And if you look at the execution, right? So in this execution, the first request is for we are creating the resource by passing all the details, right? So here you can see that what is the request body we have sent and what are the headers we have sent also, right? And for this particular request, we got the 200 as the response, and here you got the booking ID, that is 3360, right? So this is the response what we have got. And once we got the booking ID, so by using the get call, so we are passing our booking ID, and we are checking whether it is present or not by just verifying all the details. And here we got the 200 as the response code. And then by using the post call, we are generating the token. Because why we are generating the token here is by using this token we can update the resource details in the application server. Without the token ID we cannot update the resource details, right? So then for that also we got the 200 as a response code, and after that we are making the put call to update the resource details in the application server. And if you look at here, that particular booking ID what we have created, that is getting passed over here. And next we are making the another call, that is a patch. Partially we are updating the same resources in the application server, and finally we are making the delete call, right? So we are deleting that particular booking from the application server. So this is the end-to-end test what we have created in the previous tutorial, right? So let's go back to the overview. So if you look at here, so this is the total count of the test cases, and this is the show details. And coming to the last part, that is the futures by stories. So as of now we have added only one epic, so that's the reason it is showing the only one, and that is getting passed. And coming to the graphs, so here you will find the color, respective colors. So if it is displaying you the red color, so that is nothing but those many tests got failed. And if it is displaying in the yellow color, sorry, and that will be broken. And if it is showing in the green, right now it is showing it in the green color, right? So that's the reason our test got failed, so that's the reason it is showing in the green color. And if any test got failed, and it will display the combination of the red color and the green color. And if you look at here in the severity side, so right now our test is critical, so this thing we have made it in the our A/B test, right? So here we have added the severity level for this particular end-to-end test. So based on this one, this graph will be displayed here. So if any test got failed in the critical, and similarly it will add another graph like this, how it is added for the past one, and similarly it will add the another graph with the red color, and it will show them how many tests got failed. So right now only one critical test got passed, and we have only one test, right? So that's a bit about it, and let's come so sorry guys, so let's go to the this behaviors, and here it will show you the proper structure, right? So it will show the first epic, and then it will show you the future name and followed by the story name, and inside this how many test cases are there, or how many AP tests are there, all those details will be displayed over here. From here also you can check out all the AP test results. And coming to the packages folder, and let's say right now we are having a only one package, that is a com.testautomation.api testing.tests. If we are having multiple projects or multiple models or multiple components, so based on that we will be creating the multiple packages here like this, right? So in that cases, here you will see the multiple packages. Right now we are having only one package, so that's the reason it is displaying just the one package. Inside that we are having only one test, and here also you can see the all the details. So what is the request we have sent, and what is the response we got it from the application server. So let's see. So let's try to fail the one of the test, and we'll generate once again the Allure report, and we'll see whether it is impacting replicate, sorry guys, so it is impacting properly, the Allure report is or not. We'll verify that part, and I will go to the here eclipse ID, and simply I will refresh this maven project, and make sure that you will get this particular folder, that is the Allure results. So you can delete this one to generate the new report, otherwise it will be merged with the old report. So that's it guys. So let's fail the one of the API test. I will go back to the same class, and simply I will maximize this, and I will copy this whole test, and we will fail this test intentionally. I will remove most of the API calls, just I'll keep it two API calls, that's suppose and get, and apart from that we will remove all other API calls. So in the get API call we will simply pass the invalid booking ID, so that this particular test will get failed. So here we are having the post API call, and then here we are having a get API call. So here we are passing the booking ID, here I'll pass some invalid booking ID so that our test will get failed. And so right now I'm making this severity of this test is critical only, then later we will modify into the blocker also, and we will check the Allure report. And simply I will make this test name as end-to-end API test 2. That's it. So now this class contains the two API test. So one will get passed, and second one it will get failed, because in the get API call we are passing the incorrect booking ID. So we will get the 404 error from the application server. So let's execute the API test from the command prompt, and then we will generate the Allure report. So let's use the same command, and we will execute this testng suite file, and this time our build will be get failed. Previously it was success, build success, because one test will get failed, so that's the reason we will see the build failure as the status. So if you look at here, so our build got failed, and there is a one failure. And if you look at the state, so there is a mismatch in the status code. So this is the expected failure. So we have executed the API test from the command prompt. Now let's use the Allure serve command. So by using this one, we can generate the Allure report. So it will take few seconds to generate the Allure report. So if you look at here, we are having the two test cases. Out of that, one got failed, that's the green color, and another one is got failed. Sorry guys, one is passed, that is in the green color, and second one is got failed, so that is in the red color, right? And also you can see here under the suits also, only one suit we are having, and inside that particular suit, one test is got passed and another test got failed. Here you can see the segregation, right? And also if you look at the epic, so we have one epic, under that epic we have the one failure. So let's go to the our suits. So simply I will expand this, and here we are able to see the all the details, right? So if you click on this failed test, and if you click on this part, so it will show you all the stack trace information of the test failure, right? So that's it. So if you look at this one, so right now it is displaying both the test name as same, because we have not modified the test description. So if you are able to modify this description, then it will display you the same test name in the Allure report. Right now both the test names are same, so that's the reason it is displaying you the both the test names are like same, and it is displaying you one test got passed, that's our end-to-end test, and second one is it is getting failed in the get API call also, right? So first call it is able to make the post call successfully, and it got the 200, and while verifying the resource details in the application server, and it is getting failed, right? So this is how we can configure and generate the Allure report. So let's look into the graphs part. So if you look at this particular part, that's the severity part. So under the critical, we have the one test failed, and another test got passed, right? So from looking at this graph, you can decide whether how many, so you can get to know the how many blocker issue we have and how many critical issues we have in the application also. And if you look at this status also, so based on these colors, so our test information will be displayed on the status. So let's do it another one more thing in this Allure report. So what I will do is simply I will make severity for this failure as a blocker. I'll say here blocker, and I will modify this particular test name. That's a we have the API E2E API test 2, right? So simply I will copy the same test name over here, so that this particular test name will be appeared in the Allure report. And this is a blocker severity, and it will get failed, and eventually this will be displayed inside the blocker, right? So let's, after updating, let's execute it from the command prompt quickly. So here I'll say just Control C, and here I'll say Y, and let's trigger the execution from the command prompt for the TestNG suite file. So there will be two changes we are expecting. One is that this particular graph, so failure should come into the blocker, and one should be passed, that is in the critical. And the second thing is our test name should be different, right? So test name should be E2E API test 2. So let's look at the results here. So our build got failed, so that is the one failure, that's the expected failure. And if you look at this one, sorry, and that's the status code failure, right? So let's use the Allure serve command, and Allure report got generated, right? So we have the two test cases. We will go inside the suits file, suits, and inside the suits we should be able to find the proper test names. So this is the end-to-end test and it is getting passed. And the second test we have the E2E API test 2 and that's got failed, right? And coming to the graphs. So we have the test failure inside the blocker because that test belongs to the blocker and there is a test belong to the critical also that's got passed. So this is how you can configure the Allure report in your local machine and this is how you can generate the Allure report in the rest assured API testing. This is Bakapa. Welcome to API testing full course. You can access all the exercise which we have done in the whole API testing course. I have already provided this link in the video description. So anyone can access this link and also you can get the whole collections and also the environment variable details. So you can take that URL which is there in the description of this below video and paste it in the web browser. And after that, so once it is opened, so you need to export this collections into the your local system. So it will open like this after accessing the link. So this is a public access URL which I have shared it. You can click on this booking API. You can see all the APIs are there inside the two folders. So what you can do is you can click on this three dots and you can export it. So you can click on this export and firstly you can export this booking API collection and after that on the right side you can select the booking API environment and after that click on this icon and click on the edit. Then you can click on three dots and you can click on this export. So this will export the environment variable details. So after exporting it, so you will get these two files. And once you have these two files, you can go to the Postman and you can click on this import and make sure you are there in this file tab and you can click on choose files and you can select the firstly collection, that's the Postman collection, and you can open it and after that you can click on import. So firstly you can load the Postman collection and after that you can load the environment details. So as I have already these APIs in my system, I don't want to import it. And this is how you can get the exercise which we have done in the API testing full course. You can find all the code which I have discussed in the rest assured API testing full course. You can search with the Bakapa and GitHub in the google.com and here you can go to the my GitHub repository and over here in the repositories tab you will find the rest assured API testing framework. You can go inside this repository and you can click on this code and you can copy this URI and by using this URI and you can simply use the git in your local machine and you can simply clone it by using the git clone and followed by that specify the URL. So you will get the whole code which I have discussed in the rest assured API testing full course. Hey, hi friends, this is Bakapa. Welcome back to Testers Talk channel. In the previous rest assured API testing tutorial, I have discussed how to configure Allure report and also I have discussed how to generate the Allure report for the rest assured API testing. In this chapter 8 of rest assured API testing tutorial, I will discuss how to perform the data-driven testing using the JSON file. Now I will start discussing about how to perform the data-driven testing using the JSON file in the rest assured API testing. So let's look at the first scenario and here I'll open the Postman tool. So this is the create booking API. So basically if I make the post API call, we are getting the response as a 200 and we are getting that booking ID. So here we are passing all the parameters, right? The first name, last name, total price, deposit paid, booking dates, and the additional dates. So in our case, we will try to pass the first name and last name from the JSON file. So we will pass the first set of test data and our test will get executed. That means it will create the booking. And second time we will pass the second set of test data, that is the first name and last name, and it will make the post API call. And we will pass the third set of test data and it will create the booking and we will get the status code as 200 and also will get the proper API response. So that's it guys. This is what we are going to implement it in the couple of minutes. So that's all about the scenario, and now I am coming back to the Eclipse. So let's create the test data file. So under the src test resources folder, I am creating the JSON file. So here I'll say new and I will choose the file option. Here I'm giving the file name as test data json.json. So here we are creating the JSON file. Inside this we will add the test data. So here we are adding the array of JSON objects. So that's the reason here I'm adding the square brackets. So inside this one I'm adding the JSON objects. So here I'm just creating the JSON object, and inside this I am creating the keys and the respective values. So here I'm saying the double quotes colon and followed by double quotes. So let's say first name, and followed by that I'm adding the another key called last name, and we will add the respective value also. So here I'm saying API testing by, and in the last name I'll say testers top. That's it. So let's add the another two JSON objects. So simply I will copy this JSON object and I will paste it here. So let me maximize this window, and after that I will add the another JSON object. That's it. Right now we are having the three set of test data, right? So this is the first set of test data we have, this is the second set of test data we have, and this is the third set of test data we have. So firstly we have added the proper values in the first JSON object. In the second JSON object we will add, here I'll say rest assured by tester stock, and in the third JSON object I will say Postman by tester stock. So that's it. So we have the test data file ready, and let's add the file location of this test data. So here I will go to the pom.testautomation.aptesting.utils package. Under this we have the class called file name constants.java file. So here I will add the path of our JSON test data file. So simply I will copy this line, and then here I'll say the string variable name as JSON test data. That's it. So let's add the file name here. So we have the file name as test data json.json. So let's add the test data json.json. That's it guys. So we have the test data file is ready, and also we have specified the file location of the test data. So now I will go to the pom.testautomation.aptesting.tests package. So here I'm creating the one TestNG class. So here I'll say class. Here I'm selecting the TestNG class, and I will add the class name as data driven testing using JSON file. So that's it. So here we got the data driven testing using JSON file class, right? So now we have the test ready, and let's add the test name as, so let me maximize a little bit. So here I'm adding the test name as, here I'm saying data driven testing using JSON. So that's it guys. So we can use the @DataProvider from the TestNG framework, and we can achieve the data driven testing in the REST assured API testing. So basically by using the annotation DataProvider, we can write the logic to read the file and fetch all the test data from the test data file, and that data we can pass on to the this particular test, right? So let's implement the @DataProvider, and after implementing that method, we will come back to the @test, and here we will write the code for making the post API request. So here I'm adding the @DataProvider, and inside this I will specify the name as get test data. That's it. Then followed by that, here I'm adding the method name public. Here I'm adding the return type of this is object array. So that's it. Then I'll say get test data using JSON. So that's it, guys. So this is a very simple method. So at the end, we need to return the object array. So that's the reason what I will do is, simply I will create the object array, and here I'll say obj as a reference variable, and I will assign the null as of now, and then I will return the this obj, that's the object array. So that's it, guys. So let me just hit some down spaces. So let's create, after creating a spaces, so now we can add the code properly, right? So now let's read the test data file first. So what I will do is, after the line number 16, here I'm adding the code. So here I'm using the file utils class dot, here I'm calling to the method called read file to string. So inside this we have to specify two parameters. First one is a file location, so we need to pass the file object. So here I'm saying just comma, so here we have to pass the UTF-8 encoding, and here we have to pass the object of the file. So inside the file we have to specify the file location, so that this particular method will read our test data file, our JSON test data file, and returns us the in the form of string. Then we can assign back to the string variable. So here I'm using the file name constants, and here I'm just specifying the file location. So this particular variable contains our JSON file test data location, right? So simply I will specify the JSON test data. That's it. And after that, I will assign back to the string. Here I'll say JSON test data. So that's it. Okay, guys. So now we can import the file from the java.io. So that's it, guys. So after reading the JSON test data file, so what we have to do is, simply we need to use the JSON path dot read. So inside this we have to pass our test data, that is we have stored it in the string. So we have to pass this particular JSON test data, and after that, and we have to pass the one simple expression, that is simply I'm writing the dollar. That's it, guys. So this will be used to separate all the JSON object from the JSON test data file. So that's it. So now let's surround this with the try and catch block. Here I'll say surround with and try and catch block. That's it. So once we have used this particular JSON dot read, so this will return us the JSON array. So here I'm assigning back to the JSON array, and here I'll say JSON array. That's it. So you can import the JSON array from the net.minidev.json. That's it, guys. So now if you look at in the line number 25, so just we have created the object array, and we have not created the object of the object array, right? Because we don't know the size. Now we are having the JSON array, that's the JSON object, right? So this will return us the how many JSON objects are there. So that based on that we can create our JSON object, right? And we can define the size of the array also. Now I will use the obj equal to, and here I'll say new object, and inside this simply I will use the JSON array reference variable. By using this one, simply I will say the size. So this returns me the number of JSON objects are present inside the JSON test data file. So that's it, guys. Now, so almost 60% of the logic is already we have implemented. Now we have to take one by one JSON object from this JSON array. We have to assign back to the our object array. So that's the reason here I'm adding the for loop. So by using this for loop, we can get one by one JSON object from this JSON array. We can assign back to the our object array. So here I'll say JSON dot size. So simply I'm iterating through this JSON array. So by using this JSON array, here I'll say dot get of index. That's it. So let's say if I got the first JSON object from the test data file, and I will take this obj, and here I'll say obj of I, and simply I'm taking the object of the JSON array and I'm assigning back to the or object array. That's it, guys. So this particular loop will be taking care of getting all the JSON object from this particular test data JSON file, and it will assign back to our object array. And finally, if you look at here, so finally we are returning our object array, right? So that's it, guys. So this is a very simple logic for data driven testing using the JSON file. So that's what we have to do it in the data driven testing using the JSON file. So we are done with the implementing the @DataProvider using the TestNG, right? So now let's come back to our @test. So let's add the data provider name first. So for example, if in case if you are having multiple data provider in the same class, so it's better to mention the name of the data provider, so that whenever you are whenever you are passing your test data to the particular method, and it will be very useful. So simply I'm taking this data provider name, and here I'm simply specifying the data provider, and in the string I'm specifying the name of the data provider, and also you can specify the data provider method name also. You can pass the get test data using the JSON also. So right now we are using the name of the data provider. So that's it, guys. So now we have to make the post API request using the REST assured, right? So what I will do is simply I will go to the one class called post API request using POJOs. So here we have created the post API request by using the POJOs, right? So simply I will copy this code. So we are just making the post API request, guys, in this case. Nothing else we are doing it. So simply I'll open this, and here I'll add the code for that. So simply I will delete which is not required as of now. So this line is also not required. I will delete this line. So let's see what exactly. So this simply you can add the throws declaration. That's not an issue. That's it, guys. So if you look at this one, so here we are creating the object of the booking dates, and we are passing the check-in date and checkout date. And in the booking class object, we are passing the first name, last name, and additional needs, total price. So all the details, right? So that's it. It is very pretty straightforward. And then finally, here we are making the post API request by using the REST assured, right? So now, so after specifying the data provider name, so inside our test method name, simply add the linked hash map, and here I'll say the generic type as string and string, and here I'll specify the reference variable name as test data. So once we are having the linked hash map, so usually we can access the data by using the key, right? So all the values will be stored in the form of key and value. By using the key, we can access the respective test data. So simply you can import it from the java.util, That's it, guys. So now we are having the test data file. Sorry, test data reference variable. By using this one, we can access the all the test data which is there inside the our test data JSON file. We can access this particular first name by just specifying the first name. So here I'm coming back to the our data driven testing file, and so let's pass the first name. For this line number 29, here we are passing the first name and the last name. So as of now, we are passing the first name and last name from the our test data file, right? So simply I will replace this with the test data dot, here I'll say get. Inside this I will specify the key name. So similarly I will add it for the last name also. That's it. So now we have to specify the key. So which value we want to read it, right? So let's go to the test data JSON file. Let's copy this first name and we'll paste it here. That's it. Let's do it for the last name also. So that's it, guys. So we are able to pass the test data from the linked hash map to the booking class, right? So after that, so we want to print all the API request details and all the API response details into the log file. So that's the reason in the line number 37. So simply I will add the filter dot. So dot filter, and inside this we'll add the object of the rest assured listener. That's it, guys. So this will add the all the details into the our log file, right? So we are done with the implementation part. So let me summarize what we have done once again. So firstly, we have created the test data JSON file, and after that we have added the file location of the test data JSON file, and after that we have created the Java class, that is data driven testing using file I said. So let's modify this particular class name. Here I'll say refactor, and I'll say JSON file, I'll say, instead of just file. So that's it. I hope it is updated everywhere. So okay, great. So it is updated. So we have created the Java class called data driven testing using JSON file, and inside this we have added the one test, and that is accepting the test data from the @DataProvider. So this contains the logic for reading the test data from the JSON file and passing on to the our @test one by one, right? So first time it will pass the this particular set of test data and it will create the booking, and second time it will pass the second set of test data and it will create the booking. Then third time it will pass the this particular first name and last name and it will create the booking. So all these details you should be able to see in the our log4j log file. So now let's convert this class into the TestNG suite file. So here I'm saying TestNG, under that I'm selecting the convert to TestNG, and here I will select the suits folder and I'll say okay, and here I'm adding the suite name as data driven testing using JSON. That's it, guys. So I'll specify the suite name as data driven testing using JSON. That's it. So now I will click on finish. So after creating a suite file, we should be able to see the one suite file under the suits folder. So it is added as the separate folder. So let's delete this part. So we'll add it one more time because we have not specified the .xml. So let's right click on the same class and let's go to the convert to TestNG. So here again I'm clicking on the browse. Let's select the suits folder and I will click on OK. And inside this suits we have to add the data driven testing using JSON, and I'll say .xml. Last time we missed to add the .xml, and here I'll say suite name as just data driven testing. That's it, guys. So now click on finish button, and now this time we should be able to see the suite file here, right? So we got the suite file, and let's execute the TestNG suite file now. Here I'll say run as and TestNG soon. So let's open the console. So if you look at this one, it is started making all the calls. First it has passed the API testing by tester stock, and then it has got the response, and second time it is passed the rest assured by tester stock, and it has got the response, and third time it is passed the postman by tester stock, then finally it is got the response. And if you look at here, total test is 3 because we have passed 3 set of test data from the JSON file. And let's go to the our log file now. So here I'll go to the logs folder. Inside this we have the app logs.txt file. Let's open this one. So if you look at here, so this is a request it has made first time, and it is passing the API testing by tester stock, and it is got the response here, right? And the second time it is passing the rest assured by tester stock, and it is got the response here. And third time it is passed the postman by tester stock, and then it is got the response here. So this is how we can implement the data driven testing using the JSON file. And I have one assignment for you. You can try to pass all the details. For example, here we are having additional needs, total price, deposit paid, and booking dates we have, right? So you can pass all these data from the our JSON test data file, and also at the end. So if you look at here, just we are validating the status code. You can try to validate all the values, that is a first name, last name, and all other fields. So that will be your assignment. You can try at your end and let me know if you are facing any issues while implementing the data-driven testing using the JSON file. You can simply add the comments in the comment section so that I can help you out quickly. So this is all I have in this session. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. This is Bakapa. Welcome to API testing full course. You can access all the exercise which we have done in the whole API testing course. I have already provided this link in the video description. So anyone can access this link, and also you can get the whole collections and also the environment variable details. So you can take that URL which is there in the description of this below video and paste it in the web browser. And after that, so once it is opened, so you need to export this collections into the your local system. So it will open like this after accessing the link. So this is a public access URL which I have shared it. You can click on this booking API. You can see all the APIs are there inside the 2 folders. So what you can do is you can click on this 3 dots and you can export it. So you can click on this export, and firstly you can export this booking API collection, and after that on the right side you can select the booking API environment, and after that click on this icon and click on the edit. Then you can click on 3 dots and you can click on this export. So this will export the environment variable details. So after exporting it, so you will get these 2 files. And once you have these 2 files, you can go to the Postman and you can click on this import, and make sure you are there in this file tab, and you can click on choose files, and you can select the firstly collection, that's the Postman collection, and you can open it. And after that you can click on import. So firstly you can load the Postman collection, and after that you can load the environment details. So as I have already these APIs in my system, I don't want to import it. And this is how you can get the exercise which we have done in the API testing full course. You can find all the code which I have discussed in the rest assured API testing full course. You can search with the Bakapa and GitHub in the google.com, and here you can go to the my GitHub repository, and over here in the repositories tab you will find the rest assured API testing framework. You can go inside this repository and you can click on this code and you can copy this URI, and by using this URI, and you can simply use the git in your local machine, and you can simply clone it by using the git clone and followed by that specify the URL. So you will get the whole code which I have discussed in the REST assured API testing full course. Hi friends, this is Bakappa. Welcome back to Testers Talk channel. In the previous REST assured API testing tutorial, I have discussed about how to perform data-driven testing using JSON file in the REST assured API testing. And in this chapter 9, I will discuss how to perform data-driven testing using CSV file in the REST assured API testing. Now I will start discussing about how to perform the data-driven testing using the CSV file. So let's look at the scenario first, then we'll start creating the test data and we'll implement the logic. Then finally we will be able to perform the data-driven testing using the CSV file. So now let's go to the Postman tool. So here we are using the Create Booking API, and here we are passing all the details in the request body. So that is nothing but first name, last name, total price, deposit paid, booking dates, and additional dates. So after making the post API request, we will get the 200 as a status code, and also we'll get the booking ID and all the booking details what we have passed in the request body. So if you look at in the request body, we are passing couple of fields and the respective values. So what we will do in this data driven testing is, so we will pass first name, last name, and the total price from the CSV file, where we will pass the first set of test data and it will create the one booking, and we will pass the second set of test data and it will create the another booking, and then we can pass like that. We can pass the multiple sets of test data to the this particular post API request and we can create the booking. So let's go to the Eclipse ID now. So simply I will close this Postman tool, and what we will do is first we need to use the one maven dependency called openscv. So here I'm going to the google.com. I'm searching for the openscv maven dependency. So that's it. Here I will go to the maven repository link, and then here I will use the latest version, that is a 5.7.1 version. Simply I will copy this maven dependency and I will go to the pom.xml file and I'll add the maven dependency. And after adding the maven dependency, simply save it. So that's it guys. So we are done with adding the maven dependency now. So let's start creating the test data. So inside the src test resources folder, I will add the one CSV test data file. So here I'll say new and then file. So I'll go to the new, then here I'll choose the other option, then here I'll type file. So that's it. Then I will add the file name here. So here I'll say tested data csv.csv. So that's it. So now I will go back to the, so here I'll say cancel. So if you look at inside the src test resources folder, we have the test data csv.csv file. So let's go to the location where exactly this particular file exists and we'll add the test data now. So every CSV file contains the values separated by the comma, right? So we will add all the values inside the CSV file now. So I will open this file with the notepad++. Then here I will add the first headers. I'll add it. Here I'll say first name, then I'll say comma, and then I'll say last name, and followed by I will specify the total price. So these are the values we are passing from the CSV file. So simply I will say no as of now. Then let's add the test data now. So this is the headers, right? So let's add the first name followed by the last name and the price, right? So here I'll say API testing by, then I'll say the comma. So this is the first name, and let's add the last name. Here I'll say testers top, then I'll say 1000. So if you look at here, so here I'll say save it. So that's it guys, not an issue. So I got some issue while saving the file, so I think it is opened in the Excel as well, right? So that's not an issue guys. So first we have added the first name and followed by the last name and total price. So this is the first name, and followed by that we have the last name and we have the total price. So like this we will add the another two set of test data. So here I'll say rest assured by, here I'll say tester stock as the last name, then I'll specify the total price, and we have added the second set of test data, and let's add the third set of test data. Here I'll say postman by, then I'll say comma, then I'll say the last name as testers talk, then I'll specify the total price as 3000. That's it guys. So we have the test data file ready. Let's close this file. That's it. Let's go to the Eclipse now. So we have the test data file ready. So let's add the location of the test data file. So here I'll go to the file name constants.java class. Simply I will add the file location here. So I will copy this line and I will add the file location. So here I'll specify the variable name as CSV test data, and followed by that let's add the file name as test data csv.csv. So that's it guys. So far what we have done is we have added the maven dependency, and after that we have created the test data file, and also we have specified the test data file location. Now let's create the quickly one TestNG class. So inside the com.testautomation.ep-testing.tests, inside this I will create the one TestNG class. So here I'll say class, and after that I will select the TestNG class. Then I will click on next. Then here I'll add the class name as data driven testing using CSV file. So that's it. So here we got the data driven testing using CSV file class, right? So after that what I will do is simply I will rename the test method name as data driven testing. That's it guys. So we have the test method here. So first we will discuss how to write the logic to fetch the test data from the CSV file, right? So here I'm using the @DataProvider from the TestNG, and by using that we can fetch the test data from the CSV file, and we can pass each row test data to the this particular @test method. So here I'm using the one annotation called DataProvider. Inside that I'll specify the name of the data provider. So here I'll say CSV test data, and then followed by that I will add the one method public object. So return type of this method is two-dimensional object. Then I'll specify the method name as get test data. So that's it guys. So inside this method I'm going to add the three reference variables first, and after that we will create the respective object, and we will start utilizing it in the while loop for storing all the test data from the CSV file now. So here I'm adding the first reference variable called 2D object, that is a two-dimensional object, right? So return type of this method is 2D array, right? So that's the reason here I'm first declaring the object 2D array. So here I'm saying object followed by the 2D array, and here I'm saying obj, sorry guys, object array, and I'll specify the null as of now. So later we'll add each row test data into the object array reference variable. Then finally I will return the object array. So that's it. So now after creating the reference variable of the 2D object array, I will add the two more reference variables. So let's do the declaration for the another two variables. First one is map. So why I am creating the map here is we will store every row test data in the form of key and value form. So after that, once we are holding the first row test data, we will store into the another list of map objects. So that's the reason. So first we are creating the reference variable of the map. So this map contains the each row test data. And once we are having the every row test data, we have to add it into the list of map objects. So that's the reason here I'm creating the another reference variable, that's a list of map objects. So inside that I'll say just string, and then here I'll say test data list. Then I will assign the null. So we will create the respective objects later in the same method. So let's import it list from the java.util package. That's it, guys. I hope you understood, I guess, right? So first we are using this object 2D object array. So once we read the test data from the CSV file, we are assigning back to this 2D object array. So finally this object array contains all the test data from the CSV file. So coming to the second one, that's the map. So this object is used for storing the each row test data. And once we are having each row test data, we'll add that into our list of map objects, right? That's very simple, guys. So now, so let's read the test data from the CSV file first. So here I'm using the CSV reader. By using this reader class, so here I'm creating the object of the CSV reader, and here I'll say just new and followed by CSV reader. So inside this one I will pass the one object called file reader. So inside this one, so we are creating the object of the CSV reader, and inside this I'm passing the another object called new file reader. So inside this one we have to specify the file location now. So here I'll use the file name constants dot CSV test data. So this particular variable contains the location of our CSV test data file. So that's it. So once we read the CSV test data file, so let's surround this particular statement with the try and catch block, because whenever we are performing any operations with respect to the files, we'll get the exceptions. So that's the reason. So it will suggest us to add the try and catch block, right? So after creating the object of the CSV reader, simply we have to, so by using this CSV reader we can read every line from the CSV test data file, right? So before that, so let's start creating the object of our list of map objects, right? So let's use this reference variable. So by using this one, so here I'm just using the new operator followed by the array list. So here I'm just creating the array list object, and inside this one simply I will add the map of, so map generic type I'll add it. So that's it, guys. So after that simply I'll say semicolon, and right. So this particular array list object we are using to store all the rows test data from the CSV file. So after that what we are doing is simply I'm creating the one string array variable here. So here I'll say line. So this particular line holds every line test data from the CSV file. So once we declare the array of strings, then so this particular variable we are using to read the every value from the each row. For example, we have the first name. To read the first name, we are using the line of 0. To read the second test data, that's the last name, we are specifying the line of 1. And basically, if we are having n number of test data, by specifying the index, we can read the particular value from the CSV file. So before that, we have to iterate through all the file, right? So that we can access one by one value. So that's the reason here I'm writing the while condition. So inside the while condition, I'm using the CSV reader object by using this one. Here I'm calling to the method called read next. So this read next method will returns me the one by one line of test data from the CSV file. So I wanted to run this particular while loop till end of the file, and I will assign back to the our line variable. So this particular variable contains the every line test data from the CSV file. Then I will surround this with the brackets, and once we surround this with the brackets, so basically this while loop will run till the end of the file, guys. That's it. So that's very simple. So now what we have to do is simply you can add the catch statement. That's not an issue. So because we are performing the CSV file related operation, that is the input output operations. So once we are having the, for example, let's say we have the first line of test data, right, in this particular variable. So we have to get the first name, and we have to get the last name, and we have to get the total price, and then we have to add that data into the our map object, right? So that's the reason let's create the object of the map. Then we will add the each test data into the our map object. So here I'm creating the object of the tree map. So inside this I will say just string as generic type, string, and here I'll say string dot case in sensitive order. So that's it, guys. So no need to worry about this one much as of now. Just you can use the string dot case in sensitive underscore order. That's it, guys. You can import the tree map from the java.util package, and once we are having the map object, we can get the every value from this particular line. For example, let's say we got the first row test data, and we can access that particular test data. For example, if I wanted to access the first name, so I can access this, I can access it by using the line of 0. So that will returns me the first name. If I'm specifying the line of 1, it will returns me the last name. If I'm specifying the line of 2, and it will returns me the total price. So by using this map, simply I'm using the put method. So we have the values. Simply we have to specify the key, and we have to assign the values, right? So here I'm specifying the first key as the first name, and then we have to specify the value here. So this particular variable contains the one line of test data. By using this one, we can access the first name, last name, and the total price. So simply I'll specify the line of 0. So this line of 0 contains the first name. So similarly, I will access the last name and the total price. So here I'll say last name, and I'll specify the index as 1. Then I'll specify the total price. Then I'll add the index as the 2. So this returns me the total price. So that's it, guys. So this is the one line of test data. We have the first set of test data. So what we have to do is simply we have to add this particular map object into the list of map object. So whenever we get the first set of test data, we will add that into the our test data list, and whenever we get the second set of test data, we will have to add that test data into the our test data list. So that's the reason what I will do is simply I will use this test data, and if you look at here, so here we have created the object of the array list. That's a list of map objects. So this is a just map object. We can add n number of map objects into the our array list, right? So simply I will use this reference variable, and I will here I'll say add. That's it. So simply I'm adding this map object into the our test data list. So basically this test data list variable contains the list of map objects. So every map object is nothing but the one set of test data. So that's it, guys. It's very simple. So we are done with implementing 60% of the logic. Now only 40% of the logic is pending. So what you have to do is simply, so once we are having all the rows of test data from the CSV file, simply here I'm creating the object of the 2D array. So I will use the object array by using this one. So here I'm adding the new, here I'll say object, and here I'll specify the size. So already we got the size of the test data, right? So in this particular variable we are adding all the test data, right? So this particular array list contains the how many number of test data we have, right? So that's the reason here I'm specifying the size. That's it guys. That's it guys. It's very easy now. So now once we created the 2D array object, now I will iterate through this particular test data list object now. So simply I'm writing the one for loop here, and so I will run this for loop till end of this test data list. So here I'll say test data list dot size. That's it guys. So now we have the list of map objects. So by using this one test data list dot, here I'll say get. So by specifying the index I can get the every row test data, right? So by using this one simply I will assign back to our object array. That's a 2D object array. So here I'll say, so you can simply specify the one here as of now. Then so once we are having the each row test data, for example first time it will gets the first set of test data and I will assign back to the our object array, right? Simply I'll say here I, and followed by that I'll say the 0. So what it does, this particular for loop is, it's very simple. So it will get the first set of test data and it will assign back to the object array, and it will get the second, whenever I increments, it will get the second set of test data and it will assign back to the object array, and third time it will gets the third set of test data and it will assign back to the object array. So on based on the number of test data we have in the test CSV test data file. So that's it, very simple guys, it's very simple. So just you need to understand the bit logic about this part. So if you got the logic around here, so rest of the stuffs are very simple. Just we have specified the 3 reference variables, that is nothing but we have declared 3 reference variables, and after that we have created the respective objects, and after that we are operating on the maps. Every map is nothing but we have the one set of test data and we are adding that map test data into our list of map objects, and by using that, so we are taking the each row test data and we are assigning back to our object 2D array. So that's it guys. So this is all about the implementation about the data provider, and it will gets the test data from the CSV file and it will pass on to our @test method now. So let's come back to the test method. So what I will do is simply I will use our data provider name. So here I'm using the data provider name. So this particular data provider has to pass our CSV test data file. So that's the reason I'm copying this name of the data provider and I'll paste it here. So whenever it passes the first set of test data, right, it has to accept that particular test data. So that's the reason here I'm adding the one map reference variable. So once we are having the test data in the form of map, we can access by using the key, right? So that's very easy guys. So let's try to print the test data first, then we will create the post API request by using the rest assured. So let's use the system, sorry guys. So here I'm using the just system.out.println, and simply I will use the test data dot, here also get. So by using the get we can access the value. Simply here we have to specify the key name. So let's check it out whether we are getting the proper first name. So we should get all the values. So there's a small tweak we have to do it because it is going to print us the header also, right? So that tweak I will discuss a bit later after printing all the first names. So now we have the logic is ready, and let's check the logic now. So here I'm running the TestNG test, and if you look at this particular console, and it is reading all the values. So last three has the proper value, and if you look at the first one, it is returning as the header also. And if you look at here, so we have the total 4 sets of test data, but we have the only three sets of actual test data, right? There is a small tweak we have to do it so that we can ignore this particular header test data, so that we have the first name last name, and the total price. So let's add that tweak inside the data provider. So what I will do is simply I will add the one counter variable. So here I'll say counter is equal to 0. That's it. So whenever I enter inside the while loop for the first time, I don't want to consider that as a test data. So here I'm adding the if condition, if count is equal to 0. So simply come out of this particular while loop. So you should not execute whenever count value is 0. You don't need to get the test data and add it into, sorry guys. So first time whenever you enter inside this while loop, so it will not execute all these statements. So simply it will go inside the if condition, and here I'll say simply count plus plus. And after that I'll add the one statement called continue. So what it does is, so first time whenever count is equal to 0, and it will enter inside this while loop to read the test data. So first row is nothing but our headers values are there. So that's the reason we want to ignore it. So here it will come inside this particular if condition, and I value it will be, sorry guys, so it will count value will be increased to 1. So whenever I count value is 1, it will never come inside this if condition. So whenever it comes the first time inside the while loop and it comes inside the if condition, simply it will execute the continue statement. Continue is nothing but it will ignore all these statements. So it will never add the headers into our test data, right? So let's check it out by executing our test now. So this time it will not print the header values. So now we will have the only 3 set of test data. And if you look at here, total test run is 3 and it's getting passed. And if you see here, there is no header values. So right now we are having the proper values. So this is all about how to implement the data provider to fetch the data from test data from the CSV file. Now let's create the post API request using the rest assured, where we will pass all the test data from our data provider. So here I will go to the one of the class called data driven testing using JSON file. Simply I will copy this particular post API request using the rest assured, and it is very easy guys. So already we have discussed multiple times how to create the post API request. So simply I will paste it inside the test method, and then here we will pass all the test data. So now you can simply surround this with the try and catch block, because we are getting some exceptions at the line number 37. So here I'll say surround with try and catch. That's it. Now in the line number 34 in the booking object, we are passing all the data. If you look at here, so firstly we are passing the f name, first name, last name, additional needs, and the total price, and deposit paid, and the booking dates. So simply I'm using the test data, and here I have specified the test data dot get. So here we have specified the first name. So by using the key name, simply we can get the value from the CSV test data file. And here we have passed the first name, and then we have passed the last name. Then here we need to pass our total price, right? So let's get the total price. So what we will do is by using here I'll say int total price, and I will use the test data dot get. So inside this I will specify our key name. Here I'll say total price. That's it. So once we are having the total price, we have to cast this string into the integer type. So that's the reason here I'm using the integer dot, here I'll say %. So let's remove this part. So here I'll say integer dot here I'll say %. So inside this we need to pass the string, and it will convert into the integer value. So simply I will pass our test data dot get total price. So that's it guys, it's very simple. Now here I have casted our string into the total price. So now what I will do is simply I will take this total price and I will pass on to our booking object, right? So simply I will paste it here. That's it. So let's look at here what exactly the issue is. So we are getting the some error. So let's add the bracket. So that's it, guys. Now, so let's clear the log file, and our test is ready. So we are able to fetch the test data from the data provider, and one by one it is able to pass all the test data from the CSV file. And this our test method is capable of accepting all the test data, and it is able to pass on to the our API request finally here, request body, right? So now let's make sure that our log file is empty, because it will print all the details over here, all the API request details and the API response details over here in this log file. And before we execute this one, let's create the suite file. So here I will convert this particular data driven testing using CSV file. I will convert this into the TestNG suite file. So here I'll create the suite file under the suites folder, and here I'll specify the suite file name as data driven testing using csv.xml, and I'll specify the suite name as data driven testing. That's it. So let's click on the finish button. So if you look at here, so we got our suite file, right? So now let's start executing our TestNG suite file. So simply right click on that. Here you can say the run as TestNG suite file. So let's open the console output. So if you look at here, so it is started all the execution, and let's look at the end result. So total test run is 3 and all are passing, right? So let's look at this particular logs. So first time it is passing the API testing by tester stock, and second time it is passing the rest assured by tester stock, and third time it is passing the postman by tester stock. So let's look at the log4j log file. Let's open the applogs.txt file, and if you look at here, for the first time it is passing the API testing by tester stock, and it is getting the response. And the second time it is passing the rest assured by tester stock, then it is getting the API response. And third time it is passing the postman by tester stock, then it is getting the API response, right? So this is how you can implement the data driven testing using the CSV file. So from my side we have one assignment. So what you can do is simply in the test data file you can include all the details, whatever we have, check-in date, checkout date, and also we have our deposit paid also, and you can specify this additional needs also in the test data file, and you can specify all those details in the test data file, and you can pass on to the @test method. And next, second thing what you can do is, so right now we are validating only the 200 status code. So you can start validating all the values which we are passing in the request body. So we are passing the first name, last name, total price, right? All those values you can validate from the API response. So this is all I have in this data driven testing using the CSV file. This is Bakapa. Welcome to API testing full course. You can access all the exercise which we have done in the whole API testing course. I have already provided this link in the video description. So anyone can access this link, and also you can get the whole collections and also the environment variable details. So you can take that URL which is there in the description of this below video and paste it in the web browser. And after that, so once it is opened, so you need to export this collections into your local system. So it will open like this after accessing the link. So this is a public access URL which I have shared it. You can click on this booking API. You can see all the APIs are there inside the 2 folders. So what you can do is you can click on this 3 dots and you can export it. So you can click on this export, and firstly you can export this booking API collection, and after that on the right side you can select the booking API environment, and after that click on this icon and click on the edit, then you can click on three dots and you can click on this export. So this will export the environment variable details. So after exporting it, so you will get these two files. And once you have these two files, you can go to the Postman and you can click on this import and make sure that you are there in this file tab, and you can click on choose files and you can select the firstly collection, that's the Postman collection, and you can open it, and after that you can click on import. So firstly you can load the Postman collection and after that you can load the environment details. So as I have already these APIs in my system, I don't want to import it, and this is how you can get the exercise which we have done in the API testing full course. You can find all the code which I have discussed in the rest assured API testing full course. You can search with the Bakappa and GitHub in the google.com, and here you can go to the my GitHub repository, and over here in the repositories tab you will find the rest assured API testing framework. You can go inside this repository and you can click on this code and you can copy this URI, and by using this URI, and you can simply use the git in your local machine and you can simply clone it by using the git clone and followed by that specify the URL. So you will get the whole code which I have discussed in the rest assured API testing full course. Hi friends, this is Bakappa. Welcome back to Testers Talk channel. In the previous rest assured API testing tutorial, I have discussed about how to perform data-driven testing using CSV file. In this chapter 10, I will discuss about how to perform data-driven testing using Excel file in the rest assured API testing. Let's start discussing about how to perform the data-driven testing using Excel file in the rest assured API testing. So let's see the scenario first, then we'll come back to the Eclipse and we'll implement the logic for that. And let's go to the Postman tool. So here I'm using the Create Booking API, and if you look at the request body, so this contains the multiple fields, right? So we are having the first name, last name, total price, and so on. So from the Excel file, we are passing the first name, last name, and total price. So these are the fields and respective value we are keeping it in the Excel file. That's a multiple sets of test data we will be saving it in the Excel file. So for the first time, we will pass the first set of test data and it will create the booking, and then it will pass the second set of test data again, different first name, last name, total price, and again it will create the booking, and so on. So let's go to the Eclipse. Let's implement this logic. So first what I will do is, so I will use the one of the maven dependency. So here I'll go to the Google and I will search for Philo maven dependency. So you can go to the maven repository, first link, and let's add this particular maven dependency to the pom.xml file, and at the end of this pom.xml file I will add the maven dependency. So after that simply save the pom.xml file, and then so let's create the test data file. So inside the src test resources folder, I will go to the properties and I will go to this particular folder. So inside the resources, I will create the one Excel file here. So here I'll say Microsoft Excel worksheet, and I will rename this file as Excel test data. So that's it. Let's open this Excel file, and here I will add the 4 columns. First one is, I'll say run. So this particular run we are using whether we have to get this particular test data or not, because we will be specifying the yes or no in this particular rows, all these rows. Let's say for example here I'm having all the test data, and here we are specifying yes or no value. If it is specified it as a yes, then only it will pick the respective test data for the data driven testing. So here I'm adding the first name, then I will add the last name field, then I will add the total price field. So that's it. So let's add the three set of test data. So here I'll add the first name as API testing by, and in the last name I will add the testers top. Then in the total price I will add the 1000 value. So similarly I will add the another two set of test data. So here I'll simply drag this one. So here in the second set of test data, simply I will say rest assured by tester stock, and total price is 1001. And in the third set of test data, I will add the Postman by tester stock, and I will add the total price as 1002. So now, so this is very much flexible, guys. So if you specify yes here, then only that particular test data will be passed on to our test method. So right now I am specifying yes for all three set of test data. So data-driven testing will be performed with all these three set of test data. For example, if I am specifying no here, then data-driven testing will be performed by using the just two set of test data. So we will see at the end of this session by passing the just two set of test data also. We will make this one as a no, so that it will pass only the two set of test data. So this is all about the test data creation. So make sure that you are remembering all these header names: run, first name, last name, total price. So that's it, guys, because we will be using this particular run header name while writing the query. So let's close this Excel file and we will go to the Eclipse now. So let's refresh this particular folder, that is a src test resources, and we'll get our excel test data.xlsx file. Now we are having the test data file. Let's add the file location inside the file name constants.java file. So simply I will copy this one, line number 19, and I will add the variable name as excel test data, and I'll specify the file name. So we are having the excel test data dot xlsx. So that's it, guys. So far we have added the Pillow Maven dependency, then we have created the Excel test data file, and then we have added the file location of the Excel test data. So now let's start creating the @test, and we will start implementing the @DataProvider, and which will fetch the test data from the Excel file and it will pass on to our test method. So inside the com.testautomation.api testing.tests, inside this package I'm adding the one class, that is a TestNG class. So simply select this package and press the Ctrl N. So you will get this window and simply type the class, and you can select the TestNG class, click on next. So let's add the class name. So here I'm saying data driven testing using Excel file. So that's it. So here we got our Java class now. So let's maximize and let's format it, and now I will update this method name with data driven testing. That's it, guys. So this is pretty much about the @test as of now. So first we will implement the annotation data provider, and inside that we will write the logic to fetch the test data from the Excel file, right? So here I'm adding simply @data provider, and inside this I'll specify the name of the data provider. So here I'll add the name of the data provider as Excel test data. Then I will add the method name. Here I'll say public and followed by the 2D object array. So return type of this method is 2D object array, and I will specify the method name as get test data. So that's it, right? So now what I will do is I will create the couple of variables. So I will declare the couple of variables, and later we will create the object for that, and we'll start utilizing it in the while loop, right? So now, so let's create the object variable here. So here I'll say object that's a 2D array, and I'll say the reference variable name as obj array, and I'll assign the null. So right now we are just declaring the variables. So this one we will return it, right? So at the end we are returning the two-dimensional object array. So here I'll say just return. So at the end of the method, after implementing the logic, so this particular object array will hold the all the row test data here. So just give me a second, guys. So that's it. Now, so we are adding another two variables. We are declaring the two variables. First one is map. So we are declaring this map because we want to store the every row test data in the form of key and the value. We are having the header and followed by the respective value, right? So we are storing the header is nothing but the key, and the our test data is nothing but the value here. So that's it, and I will assign the null as of now. And similarly, so before that, before we creating the list of map objects, so let's import the map. Then here I'm declaring another variable called list of map objects. So inside this I'll say string, here I'll say string. Then I'll say the variable name as test data list. So this particular variable holds the all the rows test data at the end of this particular method. And once it is holding the all the rows test data, and will assign back one by one test data back to this particular 2D object array. Then finally we are returning this particular object array, and by using this one we can simply pass the one by one test data to the our @test method. So now let's import the list from the java.util package. So that's it, guys. Now, so here I'm creating the object of the philo, and by using that we can create the connection to our Excel file, and after creating the connection we can simply execute the simple query, and by executing the simple query we will get the results. It is very simple. It is very similar to the database, guys. So our Excel file is nothing but the database, and firstly we are creating the connection to the database, and after that we are filing the query, then we are getting the result set. So that's the reason here I'm creating the object of philo, and here I'll say new followed by philo. So let's import the philo from the philo API. So after that, here I'm declaring the two variables. One is connection, because we will be creating the connection to our Excel file. So as of now I will assign the null, and after creating the connection, so we'll get our result, right? That is nothing but the record set. So I will create another variable as record set. Then I will assign the null as of now. So that's it, guys. Now, so by using this philo object, I will create the connection. So simply I will say philo dot get connection. So inside this we have to pass our Excel file test data location. So already we have specified the file location, right? So here I'll say file name, constants dot, here I'll say Excel test data. So this particular variable is holding our Excel test data file location. And after that, so after creating the connection, so we will get the connection, right? So I will simply assign to our connection variable. So that's it. And because right now we are dealing with the Excel file, that's the input output operation with respect to the file, right? So it will suggest us to add the throws declaration, sorry, or you can surround this with the try and catch block. So let's surround with the try and catch block. So after this, so once we have created the connection, so simply we can execute the query. Simply here I'll say execute query, right? So we have to prepare the query now, right? So it's very simple query what we are going to write it here. So here I'll say string followed by query and equal to. So here I'm writing query as select star from, then here we have to specify the sheet name. So let's open our Excel file. So this is the Excel file what we have created, and if you look at here, we have the sheet name as sheet 1. So let's add this sheet 1 here as a sheet 1 after from, and then here I'll specify the where condition. Then here I'm specifying the run, because if you look at the test data, so we are adding the one column as run. So inside that we are specifying yes or no value, right, in that particular column. So if I'm specifying here yes, only yes row test data will be picked for the our data driven testing. And if I specified no, and that particular row test data will be not picked for the data driven testing, right? So that's it, guys. It's very simple. So this is a very simple query. What we are going to file to the our Excel file now. So let's close this particular tool. That's it. So let's pass this query to the our execute query method. So after executing the query, so this returns the record set. So already here we have declared the record set. Let's assign back to the record set now. Right? Once we are having the record set, so we have to iterate through this particular record set. For example, one record set is nothing but the header name and followed by the first set of test data. For example, we are having the second record set, that is nothing but one header value is there, that's the headers, and it contains the second set of test data, that's the second row of test data, and so on, like this it contains. So before we iterate through by using the while loop, so here I'm creating the object of the array list, right? So if you look at here, so here we have declared the line number 29, we have declared the list of map objects, right? So simply I will use this reference variable, and here I'm creating the object of the array list, and inside this one simply I will pass the map, and here I will say string and string. That's it, guys. So why we are using this particular test data list is, so whenever we get the one set of test data, that is a header is nothing but the key, and respective first row test data is nothing but the value, right? So we have to basically get the header name and the respective value by using the header name, and we have to add that into our map object inside the while loop. So now in this particular test data list, we can add the all the row test data by before we will be adding it to the our map object, and we'll add this particular map object into the our test data list object, right? So now, so simply I'm using the file because I want to iterate through the all this result set, that's a record set. So that's the reason here I'm writing the while condition. So I will use the record set dot, here I'll say next. If there is a next record in the Excel file, simply you need to execute this while condition. So if there are no rows, that is a no test data is present inside the Excel file, then only it will come out of this particular while loop, right? So before we actually get the headers and the respective values, so here I'm creating the object of the map. So if you look at in the line number 29, simply we have declared the map reference variable. So here I will create the object of the tree map. So basically we can store all the values in the form of key and the value. So here I'll say tree map, and inside this one I'll say just string and string, and then inside this particular constructor I'm passing the string dot case insensitive order. So simply add this particular thing, that's not an issue. So that's it, guys. So let's import the tree map now. And once you imported the tree map now, so by using this record set, we can get the header name and the, for example, let's say it is came inside this while loop for the first time. This particular record set, it contains the header names, that is a first name, last name, and the total price, and it contains the first row test data for the first time. And whenever it comes the second time, again it contains this particular record set contains the all the header names and the second set of test data. And in the third time, it will contains all the header names and it contains the third set of test data, and so on. If Excel contains the 10 set of test data and 10 times this particular while loop will be executed, by using this record set we can get the header name and respective value here. So now we are having the map object here. So we have to add the key name, that is nothing but the header and the respective value, right? So here what I will do is simply I will take this record set. By using this record set, I will get the header name and the respective value. So here I'm writing the one for each loop, and here I will add the record set dot get field names. So here I'm calling to the get field names. So this returns me the one by one all the header names. So here I'll assign back to the field variable. So for example, first time it will returns me the first column header name. Run, it will returns me, and then it returns me the first name, and then it returns me the last name, then it will finally returns us the total price. So this is a field name. By using the field name, we can get the respective test data, right? So here what I will do is simply I will use the test data dot put. So here we have to specify the key name and the respective value. So key name is nothing but the header name. Simply I'm passing the field here. So by using the record set, so I can get the, simply here I'm saying get field. So inside the field, we have to pass the key name. So we are having the field name, and this returns us the respective value. For example, if I open the Excel file, so this particular field contains the our header names, all the header names one by one. So let's say it is containing the first name, and so we'll get the first name. I will add this particular first name header name into the our map object as a key, and by using this record set, here I'm calling to the method called get field. Inside this we are passing the simply this particular header name, first name. When it comes inside this particular while condition for the first time, it gets this particular value, and whenever it comes the second time inside this while condition, it returns us the second set of test data and third set of test data, and so on. So let's close this Excel file. So that's it, guys. Now we are having the first set of test data into the our map object, right? So whenever we get the test data, that is the test row from the Excel file, we have to add that particular map object into the our list of map object, right? So at finally this particular test data list contains the all the row test data from the our Excel file. So simply I will use this test data list at the end, and I'll say the add, because it's the array list object, and inside this simply we'll pass the our test data. That's it, guys. So this particular while loop will run till the end of the file. So if there are 10 rows of test data, it will run for 10 times, and it will add 10 map objects into the our array list object, right? So once we are having the all the test data from the Excel file, so we have to cast this into the our 2D object array, right? So finally we are returning this particular OBJ array, right? If you look at in the line number 59. So now we are having the all the row test data in the list of map objects, right? So now I will create the object of the 2D array, because we know how many rows of test data we have by using the our test data list, because by using, if I'm using the test data dot size, it will returns me the what is the size of the test data we have in the Excel file. So that's the reason here I'm creating the object of the 2D array. So simply I will specify the one here, and inside this one I will have to specify the total number of rows present inside the Excel file, so that I can get it by using the our array list, right? So if you look at here, so every row test data we are getting here, and at the end we are adding that into the our test data list. So I will use this test data list dot, here I'll say size. That's it. Okay, guys, so that's it, guys. So what I will do is now, so here I'll specify the new operator, because I missed to specify the new operator. So because basically we are creating the 2D object array. Inside this we are specifying the size of that particular 2D object array. Now, so here I'm writing the one for loop. So I will iterate through the our test data list object, right? So simply I will use this test data list object, and by using this one, here I'm calling to the size method. So basically I'm iterating through the all the or map objects from the array list. So I will take one by one test data from the array list object by using the get. So simply I'm passing the I, and it returns me the one by one test data, and I will assign back to the our object array, because this is this particular object array we are returning in the end of this particular method. So here I'll assign back to the object array, then simply I will assign the I here, then 0. So that's it guys. So we are done with implementing the logic which will fetch the test data from the Excel file based on the yes row. For example, if I am having the 20 sets of test data, if I wanted to execute with only the 15 sets of test data, so that's also possible. Simply you need to modify this particular Excel. Just here we have to specify the yes or no for the respective row of that particular test data. So that's it, very simple guys. Now so far we have implemented logic for the reading the test data from the Excel file. Now so we are done with the @DataProvider implementation. Now we have to use this particular test data which is provided by the annotation data provider in the our test method. Now inside the test I will add the data provider name, and simply I will copy the name of the data provider here. That's it guys. So it is capable of providing the test data, but we have to accept that in the our test method, right? So that's the reason here I'm adding the one reference variable called map. So if the data is present in the map, simply by using the key we can access the respective value, right? So here I'm saying the reference variable name as test data. So let's verify whether we are getting the proper test data from the Excel file or not. Then we will start creating the post API request. Then we'll pass the first name, last name, and the total price to the post API request using the REST assured. So here I'm using the test data object, and simply I'm just verifying it whether we are able to read the test data from the Excel file successfully or not. So that's the reason here I'm writing the system.out.println. Sorry guys, inside this one I'm using the map object, followed by here I'm specifying the key. So let's add the first name. So it should print all the first names from our Excel file. So let's execute this particular test now, and it should print us all the test data from the Excel file. So if you look at here in the console output, so our test is getting passed, right? There are 0 failures. And if you look at here, so we are having the 3 set of test data. And if you look at here, so this is the first name, that is API testing by test stock, and followed by we are having the run and as well as the total price. And if you look at in the second test data, we are getting all the proper values from the Excel file, right? Now let's start creating the post API request using the REST assured. We'll pass all the test data to the post API request, and we'll start creating the booking. So what I will do is simply I will go to one of the class called data driven testing using CSV file. I'll open this class, and simply I will copy this post API request. So after copying it, I will close this class and I'll paste it inside our data driven testing using Excel file. So just what we have done in this class is it's very simple. So just we have created the post API request by using the REST assured. If you look at here, so like in the line number 34, we are passing all the test data, that is first name, last name. So let's check out this particular object. So if you look at here, so here we are passing the first name, last name, additional needs, total price, deposit paid, and booking dates, right? So if you look at here, so simply we need to use the test data dot, and after that here we have to specify the key. So let's add the first name, and then here I'll add the last name, and then here we have to add the total price. So before that, so here simply we are casting this particular string to the integer type, because total price is the integer value, right? So we have to pass this integer value to this particular booking object, right? So simply I will specify the proper key value, sorry, key name, that is a total price. Then it will get the total price from the our Excel file, and it will assign back to the total price. And we are passing this total price to the our booking object. Then after that, if you look at in the line number 41 to the 53, here we are passing the all the details, that is the request body, and here we are specifying the URI, and here we are making the post API call. So that's it, guys. So by using this particular test data object, we are getting all the test data, that is first name, last name, and the total price, right? So now let's execute this particular API test. But before that, we will convert this into the TestNG suite. Then we'll execute the TestNG suite. So I will simply right click on this particular class, data driven testing, using Excel file, and I will say TestNG, and I will convert to the TestNG. So here I will select the suites folder. Inside this one, I will add the TestNG suite file name as data driven testing using Excel. Then I'll say the .xml. Then I will specify the suite name as data driven testing. That's it. So I will click on finish button. So inside the suites folder, we should be able to find the our TestNG suite file. So if you look at here, so this is a suite file what we have created just now. So let's make sure that we don't have anything in the our logs file, and at the end we will be validating the all the logs, whether we have created the proper post API request using the rest assured or not. So we don't have anything inside the log file. So let's execute the our data driven testing using the Excel suite file. So let's maximize the console output. And if you look at here, it has started executing the APIs by passing the different set of test data. So for the first time, if you look at here, so it is passing the API testing by tester stock, and it got the response, right? And the second time, so it is passing the rest assured by tester stock, and then it is getting the API response. And then finally it is passing the Postman by tester stock, and then it is getting the API response. And if you look at here, total test run is 3 because we are having the 3 set of test data, and that's the reason it is showing the total test run is 3. And if you look at here, so all the 3 tests got passed. So let's go to the our log file now. So I will open the applogs.txt file, and if you look at here, the very first request body. So firstly we are passing the first name and last name as API testing by tester stock, and it got the response. That's the first time. And if you look at the second time, it is passing the rest assured by tester stock, and it is getting the API response. And third time it is passing the Postman by tester stock, and it is getting the API response, right? So now what we will do is, so let's pass only the 2 set of test data. So I will go back to the file location, and here I'll specify the yes for only 2 set of test data, so that only 2 times we are passing the test data to that particular @test method. So that is nothing but we are creating only 2 big bookings by using the 2 set of test data. So let's make no here. So for sometimes, because we may not require to execute the test by passing all the set of test data, right? So that's the reason. So we have the flexibility to mention the yes or no. So based on that, it will pick our test data from our Excel file. So now it will pass only the 2 set of test data, and it will create the booking. So let's save this and close the file, and once again we will execute our TestNG suite file. So before that, we will clear our log file. So that's it, guys. So let's execute the suite file now once again. So let's open the console output. So if you look at in the console at the end, so we have the total test run is 2 because we are passing only 2 set of test data, because I made yes for only two set of test data. So that's the reason only two tests are getting executed and that is getting passed, right? So let's look at our log file. So if you look at here, so for the first time it is passing the API testing by tester stock, and the second time it is passing the rest assured by tester stock. Only we have made yes for only these two set of test data, right? So that's the reason only these two set of test data are passing on to the our @test method, and it is making the post API call, and then it is at the last it is validating the status code also. So this is all I'm having for the data driven testing using the Excel file in the rest assured API testing. I have an assignment for you, so you can try to pass all these fields, that's booking dates from the Excel file, check-in date and checkout date, and also here we are having the deposit paid, and also we are having the additional needs. So all the attributes and respective values you can pass it from the Excel file, and you can try to pass more than 5 set of test data, and at the end you can validate all the values, that is the first name, last name, and other fields also you can validate in the API response. So that will be your assignment. You can try it out in your end and let me know in the comment section. This is Bakapa. Welcome to API testing full course. You can access all the exercise which we have done in the whole API testing course. I have already provided this link in the video description. So anyone can access this link, and also you can get the whole collections and also the environment variable details. So you can take that URL which is there in the description of this below video and paste it in the web browser. And after that, so once it is opened, so you need to export this collections into your local system. So it will open like this after accessing the link. So this is a public access URL which I have shared it. You can click on this booking API. You can see all the APIs are there inside the two folders. So what you can do is you can click on this three dots and you can export it. So you can click on this export, and firstly you can export this booking API collection, and after that on the right side you can select the booking API environment, and after that click on this icon and click on the edit. Then you can click on three dots and you can click on this export. So this will export the environment variable details. So after exporting it, so you will get these two files. And once you have these two files, you can go to the Postman and you can click on this import and make sure that you are there in this file tab, and you can click on choose files and you can select the firstly collection, that's the Postman collection, and you can open it, and after that you can click on import. So firstly you can load the Postman collection, and after that you can load the environment details. So as I have already these APIs in my system, I don't want to import it, and this is how you can get the exercise which we have done in the API testing full course. You can find all the code which I have discussed in the rest assured API testing full course. You can search with the Bakapa and GitHub in the google.com, and here you can go to the my GitHub repository, and over here in the repositories tab you will find the rest assured API testing framework. You can go inside this repository and you can click on this code and you can copy this URI, and by using this URI, and you can simply use the git in your local machine, and you can simply clone it by using the git clone and followed by that specify the URL. So you will get the whole code which I have discussed in the rest assured API testing full course. Hi friends, this is Bakapa. Welcome back to Tester Stock channel. In the previous rest assured API testing tutorial, I have discussed about how to perform data-driven testing using JSON file, Excel file, and CSV file. In this chapter 11, I will discuss about how to install Jenkins or how to configure Jenkins, and then how to create Jenkins job, how to schedule Jenkins job using the CRON pattern, and then how to integrate Allure report with the Jenkins, and then finally I will discuss about how to generate Allure report in the Jenkins. First, I will start discussing about how to install Jenkins or how to configure Jenkins in your local machine. So here you can go to the youtube.com and you can search for testers talk and you can go to my channel. So already there's an tutorial available which is explaining about how to configure Jenkins. You can go to inside the video tabs and here you can scroll down a bit. So here you'll find the one tutorial which is explaining about how to configure Jenkins and how to install the Jenkins in your local machine. So if you scroll down here, so here you'll find the one tutorial that is how to install Jenkins or how to set up the Jenkins in your local machine. So this is just a 8 minutes tutorial. Just you can watch out this tutorial and set up the Jenkins in your local machine. And once the setup is done, you can log in into your Jenkins. And after login, so you need to install the one plugin. So you can go to the manage Jenkins and here you can scroll down. You can click on this go to plugin manager or you can click on this manage plugins. And here inside the available, just you need to search for the Git. And after entering the Git, here you will get the list of plugins. So if you are not able to find the Git plugin, so you will find the Git server plugin. So in my case, I have searched and already I have installed it. So after searching, you need to simply click on this checkbox. For example, if this is the software or for example, if this is the plugin. So you need to select this checkbox and you need to say just install without restart. So in my case, I have already installed it. I will go to the install tab and here if I type just git, so here I'll get the git server plugin. So in my case, if you look at here, so this is enabled. So I have installed the git server plugin. So you need to just install this git server plugin, or if you are able to find the just git plugin, you can install the git plugin also. That's not an issue. So once you have installed the git server plugin in your Jenkins, you can go to the dashboard and simply click on this new item, and here you can provide the Jenkins job name. So here I'm adding the Jenkins job name as rest assured API automation framework. So that's it. After adding the Jenkins job name, you need to select the freestyle project and click on OK. And here you can add the description of the project. So here I'm adding rest assured API automation framework. That's it. And you need to click on this source code management. And here you need to select the Git. So because we are cloning the GitHub repository and we are executing the automation API test from our GitHub repository. So here we have to provide the GitHub repository URL, right? So you can go to the google.com and here you can search for backup.in GitHub. And here you can go to the testers stock backup.in and you can open the test assured API testing framework repository and you can click on this code and copy the repository URL. And let's go back to our Jenkins. And after selecting the Git here under the source code management, here simply add the GitHub repository URL, and after that come down and here under the branches to build, so make sure that you are adding the proper branch name. So in my repository, if you look at here, so here there is a branch, you can click on this branch. So in my case main is present, so I need to add the main over there. So let's add the main here. So make sure that you are adding the proper branch name, otherwise there will be an issue while cloning the GitHub repository into the local machine. So after adding the branch name, simply click on this build triggers and here you need to select the fourth checkbox, that is GitHub hook trigger for git SCM polling. So that's what you need to do it under the build triggers, and after that you can click on this build environment. So here we have to select the first checkbox, because whenever we are cloning the GitHub repository into the local machine, so I don't want the old code, old repository present in my system. Because of that, we may get some issues for while executing the my API test. So that's the reason it is very important to delete my old GitHub repository in that particular workspace. So that's the reason here I'm selecting the delete workspace before build start. That means it will delete everything if anything is there before starting this particular Jenkins job. And after that, simply click on this build, and here you need to select so you can click on this add build step and select here invoke top level maven targets. So here we have to specify the suite file name, and also we have to specify the pom.xml file. So under the goal we have to specify our TestNG suite file path. So if you know how to execute the API automation test from the command prompt, then same command we can use it over here also. So let's go to our GitHub repository, and here, so under suites we are having a multiple TestNG suite files. So here we are going to execute this particular suite file, that is Allure report API test.xml. So simply I will copy this suite file name and we will add it in our Jenkins job. So here I'm adding the command called clean followed by test and -d suite file name and equal to, in the double quotes we have to specify the path of our TestNG suite file. So our suite file is present under the suites folder, so that's the reason here I'm adding suites. After that we have to specify our TestNG file name. So we have added the complete path of our TestNG suite file, and after that simply click on this advanced, and here you add under the pom, and let's add the pom.xml. So that's it guys. After that, so nothing you have to do, so simply you say apply and save. That's it guys. So now, so let's start executing our Jenkins job. So simply click on this build now, and eventually here you will see the one job is running. Click on this job, and here you can click on this console output, or you can click on this progress bar also. It will goes to our console, right? So this is the console output, and here you can see that our build already started. And if you look at here, so our API test also getting executed, and if I come down, so still API test execution is under progress. And if you look at here, so our build is success. Total we are having a total 2 tests, and one is an end-to-end test and another one has the just 2 API requests. So our build is success guys. So we are able to create the Jenkins job and we are able to execute it. So let's start executing the same job one more time. So if I click on this build now, so another job will be created over here. So let's click on this build now. So let's go to this job, second job. And if you look at here, so if I go to this particular location, right? So this is where my GitHub repository is getting cloned. So if I go here, so I should be able to see my GitHub repository over there. So this is the GitHub repository. It is cloned from the GitHub. And if I go inside the src test java com, this is the package what we are going inside, and under this we are having the test. So these are the API automation test what we have written, right, while discussing all the chapters in the rest assured API testing full course. So let's go back to our console. So if you look at here, this one, our second job, so this job is also success, right? So it is working fine. There are no issues at all, right? So this is how we can configure the Jenkins and you can execute the Jenkins job. So far you have seen how to configure Jenkins and how to create the Jenkins job and how to run the Jenkins job. Now I will start discussing about how to schedule the Jenkins job. So basically whenever you are not there in front of the system also, so if you specify the time, so automatically your build will be triggered. So now let's go to our Google, and here just search for the CRON pattern wiki. So just we have to use the 5 stars. By using that 5 stars we can set the CRON pattern, and by using that we can trigger the build anytime we want. So if you look at here, there are 5 stars. The first star indicates that it is a minutes, and second star indicates the hour, and third star indicates the day of the month, and that is in between the 1 to 31 value you need to specify. And coming to the fourth star, it is the 1st to 12, you need to specify the month. And if you are scheduling in any particular month. So that time you need to specify the value over here, that is in the 4th star, and that is 5th star indicates the day of the week. For example, I want to execute my script on the Sunday. So in that case, what I need to do is, so I need to add the 0 value over here, and on Sunday I want to execute 2 p.m. In that case, so I need to specify the hours. So hour as the 14 here, because 2 p.m. is nothing but the 14, and here, so simply you can keep it as a star. So that means it will execute the your Jenkins job on Sunday if you specify the 0 here and 14 over here, right? So for example, if you want to execute your Jenkins job every minute, so simply you need to specify the star slash 1 or 5. For example, if you want to execute the Jenkins job every 5 minutes, you need to write the star slash 5. If you want to execute the Jenkins job every minute, simply you need to specify the star slash 1. So let's set up the cron pattern in the Jenkins job. So let's go to the Jenkins now. So here I'll go to the REST Assured API testing framework, and I will click on this configure, and I will scroll down here, and you can go to the build triggers, and you can click on this build periodically, and here you can add the all the 5 stars. Then say for example, I want to execute the my API test every minute, so that's the reason here I will specify the slash and 1. And if you want to execute every 10 minutes, simply specify the 10, and if you want to execute every 5 minutes, you can specify it as a 5 like this here. So in my case, I want to execute every minute, so that's the reason here I'm entering the slash 1. So that's it. I will say apply and save. So right now the already build started. So if you look at here, it's a 12:36 the build started, and the next build would be 12:37. So let's look at the result of this one. So third job is getting executed. So it is started at 12:36. And our build is success, right? So this is working fine. So there are no issues in the automation code. And let's look at this particular build details. So right now, 3 jobs are executed, and a 4th job will be automatically triggered at 12:37. And I want to give you some idea on the issues which you might be facing while setting up the Jenkins also. So make sure that you are using the proper version of the Jenkins. That's a WAR file. And if you look at here, so another build started at 12:37, right? So let's go to the job, and let's look at the console output. So like this, it will start triggering the automatic build every 1 minute. So now 12:37, and third job will trigger at 12:38. And if you look at here, so our build is success. There are no issues in the application, right? So that's all about the how to schedule the Jenkins job and how to run the Jenkins job. So while setting up the Jenkins, you might be facing an issues. If you look at here, there's a third job is running at 12:38, and make sure that you are using the appropriate version of the WAR file while configuring the Jenkins, and you are setting the fresh password also. And once it is done, and simply you can add the Git server plugin, and you can start creating the job. So this is how you can configure the Jenkins job, and this is how you can run the Jenkins job, and also you can schedule the Jenkins job. Now I will start discussing about how to integrate Allure report with your Jenkins job. So now you can go to the dashboard, and here you can go to the manage Jenkins, and you can scroll down here and go to the manage plugins, and in the available, just you need to search for the Allure Jenkins plugin. In my case, I have already installed it, so that's the reason I'm not able to see that particular plugin. And if you have not installed it, if you are installing it very first time, so you will get the plugin like this, and you need to simply select that particular checkbox, and you need to click on install without restart. And once installation is done, and you can go to the installed tab, and here you can search for the Allure Jenkins plugin, and you will get the Allure Jenkins plugin if you have installed it successfully. and also you can verify it whether it's enabled or not. So it should be enabled. So this is how you can configure the Allure report with the Jenkins. And then now let's integrate with the our API automation test. So let's go to the our job. So that is a REST assured API automation framework, and here you can go to the configure, and inside the configure you can go to the post build actions. So here you can click on this under the post build actions. You need to click this particular add post build actions, and here you can select the option as the Allure report. So that's it, guys. Nothing you need to update here. So just click on apply and save. So that's it. Now let's trigger the Jenkins job now. So 7th build will be starting very soon. So if you look at here, 7th build started, and you can click on this one. So let's go to the console output, and here API test execution started. So while configuring or while installing Jenkins, if you face any issues, you can comment in the comment section. I will be happy to help you out. And while installing the plugins also, you might face some issues because of the internet and all. So make sure that you have the stable internet connection. And if you look at here, so our build is success. So let's go to our job. And if you look at here you can click on this Allure report here also, or you can click on this Allure report also. So let's click on this Allure report, and if you look at here, so total test is 2, and both the tests are getting passed. And if I click on this suits, so this is the suit name, and under this suit we are having this is the test name, and this is a package name, and this is the test name, right? So we have the total 2 tests. So this particular test, this is coming from the TestNG suite file. So this is a suite name, and this is a test name from the TestNG XML file, and this is a package name, and then we are having the total 2 tests. So this is a end-to-end API test, where we are making the get API call, post API call, put API call, patch API call, and the delete API call in this particular end-to-end API testing. And in this E2E API test 2, so just we are making the 2 API call. First one is the post we are making, and in the second we are making the get API call. So this is how you can integrate the Allure report with the Jenkins job. This is Bakapa. Welcome to API testing full course. You can access all the exercise which we have done in the whole API testing course. I have already provided this link in the video description. So anyone can access this link, and also you can get the whole collections and also the environment variable details. So you can take that URL which is there in the description of this below video and paste it in the web browser. And after that, so once it is opened, so you need to export this collections into your local system. So it will open like this after accessing the link. So this is a public access URL which I have shared it. You can click on this booking API. You can see all the APIs are there inside the 2 folders. So what you can do is you can click on this 3 dots and you can export it. So you can click on this export, and firstly you can export this booking API collection, and after that on the right side you can select the booking API environment, and after that click on this icon and click on the edit. Then you can click on 3 dots and you can click on this export. So this will export the environment variable details. So after exporting it, so you will get these 2 files. And once you have these 2 files, you can go to the Postman and you can click on this import, and make sure you are there in this file tab, and you can click on choose files, and you can select the firstly collection, that's the Postman collection, and you can open it. And after that you can click on import. So firstly you can load the Postman collection, and after that you can load the environment details. So as I have already these APIs in my system, I don't want to import it. And this is how you can get the exercise which we have done in the API testing full course. You can find all the code which I have discussed in the rest assured API testing full course. You can search with the Bakapayan GitHub in the google.com, and here you can go to the my GitHub repository, and over here in the repositories tab you will find the rest assured API testing framework. You can go inside this repository and you can click on this code and you can copy this URI, and by using this URI and you can simply use the git in your local machine and you can simply clone it by using the git clone and followed by that specify the URL. So you will get the whole code which I have discussed in the rest assured API testing full course.